Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters! Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Glenn! No! Glenn! Help! Somebody help me, please!
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Alright guys, hello, and welcome back to another fabulous and wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now in today's fiery ass episode, we will be doing Dead Space. Now don't get me wrong, we're not doing the full Dead Space franchise and trilogy and all that shit, but we will be doing, we'll be doing a lot of comparison, of course, to the original Dead Space, to the remake that just came out, that I finished, what was it, yesterday? I think it was last night I finished it. But from there, we will also do a couple little fun facts I've learned doing some research. You know, we're going to be talking about the comparison between the characters, necromorphs, graphics, all that shenanigans. We will be having a bit of information about, let's see, was the Downfall, Aftermath, of course, a couple of the comics and shit. You know, nothing like nothing too in deep. You know, we're not like going to go like stretching through the lore and shit. But we'll highlight some of the things and add probably a little bit of feedback towards how the movies and some of the comics and stuff did tie into the game and shit. But mainly we're going to do a lot of comparison and shit. But first, let me get a notebook. Because I took, yet again, a lot of notes. Y'all know me, I'm a note taker. Too much of a note taker. Way too much of a note taker. Note taking, not even at the finest of detail. Like, this ain't even college taking notes. This is just random thought popped in my head. Write it down. And then I try my best to formulate at least an actual proper sentence and or discussion. But let's go ahead and dive straight into this game, because I'm super excited. Y'all have no idea how excited I am to talk about this game. Not only did I delay the podcast from last week to talk about it, but I really wanted to finish the game so I could talk about it and do a proper comparison, if that makes any sense. I mean, granted, I could have done it last week. I was about halfway done with the game and would have been like, oh, well, so far this is what I see. No, I wanted to actually get the feel of the game and see how they did the twist ending, which at this point, the game's been out for a minute, so everybody should know the twist ending. But if you don't, you know, I think it played it off pretty well. Again, I'll get into details and shit about that, but yeah, Dead Space originally came out in 2008. It was basically a love child by Glenn Schofield, I think is his name, Schofield, something like that. But Glenn, he originally came up with the idea back in 2005. He was in the industry, for the gaming industry that is, for 12 years, I want to say, about at least a decade. And he worked on everything from like gaming designs, aesthetic designing, you know, he did a lot of writing, shit like that. He never actually made a game himself, and he actually got inspired by simply just wanting to create the world's greatest horror game. Like, he literally just wanted to create a scary game, and that was his whole premise, his whole idea, and he ran with that shit. I'm not gonna lie, he ran with that shit. But it didn't get first pitched until like 2006, but his original inspiration came in 2005, shortly after Resident Evil 4, which actually helped inspire some of the game choices and designs that we see in the 2008 version of Dead Space. again, a lot from Resident Evil 4, but some of the movies that inspired them, the list is enormous. I'm not gonna lie, the list is enormous. Apparently there's over 100 films that actually inspired these motherfuckers to create and design and write the way they did. But some of the top films, of course, is Aliens, Event Horizon, and Solus, or Celarus, or something like that. I want to say that one's actually a game, because my boyfriend made a mention, and there was a game in the earlier 2000s, like 2001, maybe 2002, 3 at the highest, that was kind of the basic same idea of Dead Space, where you're stuck in a spaceship up in outer space, and there's shit trying to kill you. I want to say that's the game, but I could be wrong. But because of all this inspiration and stuff, we do have overall a very, very creepy ass game, especially in the 2008 standards. It was very, very scary. The game didn't come out until October 13th of 2008 on PS3 and Xbox 360. I don't think we had a computer version of it until Dead Space 2, which we didn't get Dead Space 2 till roughly about 2011. But I strictly remember Dead Space, especially as a teenager. I think I was, 2008. God, I was a young teenager. God, 2008, I didn't even quite start high school. I want to say I was either just started high school or a year before high school. I want to say it was the year before, because, I think 2009 to 2012, the class of 2012. So, yeah, I think I was a young middle schooler, actually. A young middle schooler, about to be a teenager when this game came out. I was always a big fan of horror games, as I've probably said billions of times. Resident Evil was always one of my favorite franchises. Fucking Silent Hill was really good as well. But the thing that stuck out to me about Dead Space when the trailer dropped was, well, the trailer itself. And let me explain. If y'all don't remember the original trailer, I don't mean the second trailer, I'm talking about the actual teaser trailer for this game that I saw, that I vividly remember. I actually went back recently and looked up the trailer. I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember this shit, always. But the original trailer was very, very simple. It was literally just looking at different sections of the ship. I think it's like outside the ship, inside, different rooms, different stuff. But the entire time we're doing this, there's a creepy ass woman singing, and I shit you not, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is actually almost like the definition of a theme for this game. I'm not even gonna lie, they use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in a lot of the promotional materials, and I get it. I've always said nursery rhymes can be very, very creepy. I've stated it, oh god, I don't know how many fucking times, especially playing horror games. Making a fucking nursery rhyme is very, very easy to make it creepy, if that makes sense. And it is done correctly in this trailer. But as we're scrolling through the ship and shit, and the song is playing, of course we get cuts of Isaac being brutally murdered. Like, I'm talking about all the necromorphs, he's being brutally murdered. Like, we see, get his head punched off. We get another one where he's getting ripped to shreds. And all of this is like a weird static effect interrupting the song, kind of like jump scaring you in the trailer. And then it all builds up to, just watching Isaac just die over and over and over again. And then it's just like, Dead Space. Ta-da! So yeah, that trailer always stuck out to me. It wasn't as theatrical as the second trailer, which the second trailer, if y'all remember that one, basically had where a bunch of mothers were in a room. It was all live action too. So it was a bunch of mothers in a room watching, I guess, gameplay of Dead Space 2. And they're like, oh my, it's God, this is gory. This is so bloody graphic. Oh my, And the whole thing was, play the game your mother wouldn't let you play, Dead Space 2. But Dead Space 1's trailer hit home for me because it hit everything I love about horror game. It gave me very little to understand about the game. All I know is creepy, we're in outer space, and there's something trying to kill us. That's all I need to know. And I was hooked from the day one since I saw that. Now, I will say Dead Space wasn't always originally supposed to be what the Dead Space we got, even with the remake. Originally, the story creation was supposed to be you're a prisoner trying to escape a prison spaceship. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? That's because it was the same plot was basically used for Callisto Protocol. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't really know much about Callisto Protocol. I've heard things. I've seen reviews of it. I even watched my boyfriend play it and shit. And I will admit, a lot of it is taken straight from Dead Space. Even the whole throwing out the original premise of Dead Space was taken out, because it's literally you play a guy who's stuck on a ship, a prison ship, and you're trying to escape. The HUD's basically the same, whereas like you see the life on your back, the ammo, there's no ammo counter. But I will say the combat in the system's a bit different, and I'm not a big fan of the combat from what I've seen of it. And it's just simple button mashing of dodge, dodge, punch, shoot, dodge, dodge, punch, shoot. And, you know, that's cool and all. It's just Dead Space combat is much more fun. I get to squish shit till it dies. I'm just gonna be honest. I like, you notice, y'all watch me play Dead Space over the past 2 weeks. Y'all have noticed I will squish everything. I don't even punch it. No, I squish it because I want to make sure nothing comes back and bites me in the fucking ass. But a lot of people compare Callisto Protocol and say, oh, it's a direct ripoff. It's bullshit. You know, they're just stealing from Dead Space. And that's not actually true at all. I want to say, if I heard the interviews correctly and shit, it's a love letter to Dead Space. It's a love letter. I mean, think about the timing it came out. It was in between the actual announcement that came out in June 2021 and before actual Dead Space came out. I would say Callisto Protocol came out, what? Somewhere between October and December of last year? Could be more, could be less. I don't know. Again, I'm not too familiar with the game. But the remake came out, of course, January, at the ending of January this year. So I take it more as a love letter, as appreciation for what Dead Space did to the horror, survival horror genre. Because Dead Space really made survival horror much more intense, much more scary, and much more difficult to survive through. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about that. Like, comparing Resident Evil 4 to Dead Space, which only came out just a handful of years apart. Don't get me wrong, they're both good games. I love the games. Y'all know Resident Evil 4 is my jam. That is my game. That is my Forever 21 game. That's the game I grew up playing the most out of. Even from the original Resident Evil, this was the one I played the most. I know this game backwards, inside out. Hell, I even got the chainsaw PlayStation 2 controller that came out for the PlayStation 2 edition of Resident Evil 4. That's how much I love this game. So again, I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. But Dead Space is 100 times more scarier than Resident Evil 4. I'm not gonna lie. And there's several reasons why. It's not just the fact that the audio in Dead Space is much more creepier, the fact that the fucking weapons you get in Resident Evil, of course, your generic, rifle, shotgun, pistol, and then you get like a rocket launcher and some bullshit. So that kind of adds a little bit of the ferociousness of the fear that you should feel out the fucking window, especially when you come up against a boss and you just, boom, one shot, done. Like, it's just takes the entire intense factor out. Or with Dead Space, like, case in point, you're fucking running around trying to kill an indestructible fucking hunter that won't die, and you can't figure out how the hell to get out of a goddamn room. And you can't shoot it to death. It's just gonna regenerate. So what do? You panic. You run around. You use a lot of fucking ammo. Still mad about that one room. I literally spent like 10 minutes running around a room in the remake. Wasted a whole bunch of ammo because there was a hunter in the room. And I was just like, where's the door? How the fuck do I get out of here? 10 minutes of me running around. I eventually found the fucking door. It was literally right next to me the entire time. Didn't even realize it. And I was just like, man, that is a waste of fucking ammo. That really was. But overall, though, like I said, they're both really good games. It's just Dead Space is scarier. It's just way scarier. It's always been scary to me because You isolated, you're alone. When Resident Evil, even in the original Resident Evil, you could just walk outside, boom, yeah, you're in a fucking forest, but look, there's a sky above you, there's ground below you, there's zombies right there, boom, boom, don't have to worry about that shit to fucking walk my happy ass this way. The only reason Jill's not even leaving is because she's got a mission to do. Dead Space, on the other hand, you can't just leave. You can't just go, well, bye guys, this is some bullshit. No, you can't do that. See, you wind up in some fuck shit. You get stuck there. And then, of course, you're in outer space, so it's not like you can hitch a ride. It's not like you just go out there, stick your thumb out, and go, all right, hitchhiker guy, come pick my ass up. It doesn't work that way. You're stuck in there with these fucking pissed off necromorphs that just want to kill you. Which adds another layer of disturbing factors, which I will dive straight into that at some point during the podcast. But before I get on to how disturbing and creepy the game is and shit, let's continue on. Of course, like I said, we had, the original Dead Space came out in 2008. And to tie in some more of the lore and shit, they started doing a project called IP Cube, which is basically the comics, the books, the 2 little movies we see. This all tied in as well with added games. I think it was Extraction was one. All added extra layers upon layers of the storytelling of Dead Space. Like, it became kind of like Game of Thrones in a way, where there's not just a movie, not just a TV show, but there's books, there's comics, there's video games, there's everything that adds and flushes out the lore. And you could definitely tell in the remake, they did their damnness to grab as much important information and put it more towards the game. Where in the original Dead Space, a lot of it was given to you through text logs, text and audio logs. And some stuff wasn't quite explained, some stuff just didn't make sense, but in this remake, they tried their damnness to, take all this information from, like, the comics and the movies and some of the other add-ons and shit, and add more to this remake to really help you flesh out everything. And yes, I said flesh. Because that's what the necromorphs do. They fucking devour you, destroy you, and then fucking let the marker do whatever they want to your fucking dead body and morph you into whatever the hell it decides to morph you into. You could be any number of necromorphs, which there is a list of them, by the way. And again, we're just going through the list of the first Dead Space Dead Space game, okay? We ain't gonna be going to, like, Dead Space 2 and 3, because they got some other necromorphs, especially the third game, that I really just don't fucking know. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't play Dead Space 3. Okay, let me phrase that. I played for all about, like, an hour or so with a friend of mine. And I looked at him, and I was like, are you sure we're playing Dead Space? This is not Dead Space. He's like, no, I'm positive we're playing Dead Space. I didn't believe him, so I left. I'm not even joking. I did not believe I was playing Dead Space with him. Granted, I watched him play it, and the whole Brother Moon things and shit, and I was so impressed by that. But I was more impressed by the plot of the story at the end, which is saying something, because that game apparently took 20-some-odd hours for my buddy to finish completing. But yeah, the whole... Just the whole atmosphere of 3 just never set right with me, so I never really played 3 since then. I never really cared to because of all the microtransactions, which I would get into once we get past this IP Cube shit. But like I said, with this IP3 Cube, we got Downfall, which is a really, really good animated movie. It is basically a prequel to the game. Not like a full direct prequel. Okay. No, it is kind of a full direct prequel. There's a lot of prequel materials in this franchise. But we start off with, I guess, the crew of the Ishimura. This is like a week after they find the marker. And shit's already happening on the ship. People are killing each other. People are killing themselves. It gets really crazy, really wacky, really out there. But ends up really, adding much more character, depth to, a lot of the necromorphs is this movie, because some of them in the original game, of course, the necromorphs definitely have a different design. I'm not gonna lie, the necromorphs definitely have a different design. In the original game, there was no personality to them. Yes, there was a different species. You know, you had like the spitter, the slasher, the guardian, all that shit. And yeah, they had a bit of a different design, but they all kind of looked the same in some aspects. And let me explain this. If you look at the necromorphs that are in the remake, they actually look like they were changed, or they morphed from human beings to whatever the necromorphs are now. And they kind of keep a little bit of the humanity. And I mean that more as in they keep their fucking clothes and not like their spiritual energy or their emotional well-being. Granted, though, in Dead Space 2, there is one necromorph that's very questionable whether or not it actually retains human knowledge because of the fact that it screams no when you kill it. But because these necromorphs, you know, we see them in the original 2008 game, all we see them as fucking, like, creatures. That's it. They're just fucking creatures. They're mutated creatures, humanoid creatures are trying to kill us. End of discussion, we murdered them. Where the movies and the comics and all that ties everything in, they start adding emotional backstories to these necromorphs. And I don't mean like, oh, this is necromorph Jimmy over here. And Jimmy, he was a sweet young man, sweet young lad. And, you know, he worked hard at his duty until he's corrupted by the markers. Nothing like that. Yeah, but we do see some of the necromorphs, you know, become, okay, let me phrase this. We get to see people change from their dead bodies to these necromorphs, which adds a bit of a personality, especially if we watch them die or we know how they die, such as case in point, Captain Matthias. In the movie Downfall, we actually get to see Captain Matthias' death. Like, we get to see it. Now, I had a great joke for this. So in the game, in the original game, we see it as, you know, Matthias is fighting with the doctor, and it looks like the doctor just stabbed him in the eye with a needle and then killed the doctor, and thus he gets arrested, and then we meet him later on in the chapter, or later on, like chapter 9 or 10 or something. And in the remake, we get to see that what had happened was the doctor's being belligerent. They were trying to calm him down. He pulled out the sedative. The camera glitched or whatever. Looked like he fell forward, got stabbed in the eye, and died. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, in the movie Downfall, the way it's played out is the captain is being hysterical. They try to sedate him. They go to grab him. He falls back on a guy. The guy with glasses pushes him into the needle, thus killing the captain. Yeah, sink that one in for a second. It was the guy with glasses. The guy with glasses killed the good captain. By an accident, of course. Not like he like personally grabbed him on the back of the head and shoved his face into the needle or something. But in the commotion, when the captain fell back, he pushed him forward to get him off of him, thus pushing him forward into the needle. So in all technicalities, the good doctor didn't kill the captain, and it wasn't an accident per se. It was the guys with glasses, so they're going to arrest anybody. It shouldn't have been the good doctor. It was the guys with glasses. The guy with glasses, he's the guy who killed the captain. Okay? I'm just going to say that straight out. I say justice for the good doctor, okay? He got wrongfully blamed for a murder he didn't even commit, all right? That's like me holding a knife and... Actually, you know what? That goes back to that scene in Chicago, now that I'm thinking about it. He ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times. So technically he's murdered? In Chicago, yeah, that was murdered. You know, 10 times running into it, you know, that was a little excessive. But in the context of Dead Space, I don't think it was murder. They shouldn't have tried to arrest him. But, you know, that's just me personally. But with Downfall, like I said, we get to learn a little bit more about how, you know, everything kind of crashed down in front of them before Isaac and the crew shows up, which I like that. We get to know these characters, which by the end, I hate to say it, I don't know why they try to make it seem like certain characters are going to live when it's Dead Space. I've learned, if your name's not Isaac fucking Clarke, you ain't making it out of this goddamn game franchise. Like, I'm sorry. If your name ain't Isaac Clarke. So they introduced you to these really likable characters. Like, oh god, what's the name of the character in Downfall? Vincent, I think was her name. Badass bitch. I'm not even gonna lie. Badass bitch. Her and her team, badass. Like, one of my favorite badasses was the chick with the blue hair. It was all fucked up and shit. But damn it, man, was she a badass, though. Fucking just like, oh my god. Just the weapons, because, you know, you use plasma cutter and shit. And the animation style was done very well. It was like blood and guts and gore. Fucking cool shooting scenes and fighting scenes. And, oh my god, it was so badass. I'm not gonna lie. It was so fucking badass. But in the end, unfortunately, the main character of that story dies, and it's sad because she was very likable, but she ended up trying to, you know, wipe out the necromorphs in the room with her because she ran to the crew deck, which is where the marker was. No, not the crew deck. The hangar bay, which is where the marker's hanging out at. And she went there trying to kill herself by the necromorphs, but turned out they can't get anywhere near the marker. So she sat there, who knows for how long, debating on what to do, and her strategy was to open up the hatch and God be with everybody. And unfortunately, she lost, and she died. And then, of course, you know, Isaac and them show up. And then we have Aftermath, which I like this one as well. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't like the overarching animation to this movie. I'm not gonna lie, the bad CGI just does not sit well on my eyeballs, but it's passable. I'm willing to give it a break because of the year it came out. I mean, it's been out well over, 10 years now? And CGI has definitely come a long way from a 10-year-old CGI. But the rest of the animation, though, is done really well, and it's actually done pretty cool because of the fact that each story, because basically the overarching narrative is a crew from the O'Bannon ship, who I think they were after Isaac fuck some shit up. Yeah, after some fuck shit, and this is before Dead Space 2, but after Dead Space 1. And basically, they go to Etrix 7 to get the fragment of the marker, and shit happens, and they end up getting fucked up by the marker. And we all know the story about how the marker and the necromorphs work. And if not, I will explain it at some point. But because they go down there and then, they get all fucked up by this shit, they're getting asked questions by a certain colonist group that we will recognize from Dead Space 2. And throughout this whole, movie, they're asking, I think it's like 3 or 4 of them. They're, what happened? What was the situation? And each backstory is in a different animation style. It's still animated, hand-drawn and shit, kind of like, anime style. But they're all done by different people, by a different group, a different company. And I really like that in each version, because they're told by 3 different people and they have 3 different unique styles to it, each person kind of sees themselves completely fucking different. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like the main little Asian girl in that movie, you first see her, she seems kind of, snobby, uptight, I don't want to talk about this bullshit. And then it actually turned out she's having an illicit affair with one of the kind doctors on the ship, and when he tells the story, it makes her just seem like a fucking sex fiend. Like, she's just, like, he's, like, learning about the marker, like, oh my god, this is an unknown language. I've never heard anything like this before. Like, this is incredible. And he's writing this shit down, and she's all, like, sexually taking off her top. Just, yeah, forget about the marker. Focus on us. Just us. And it's just like, bitch, he's talking about a major fucking breakthrough, and you're trying to fucking horn his ass up. And then her version of the story, it makes it seem like she fucked him, and then he became a cold douchebag and was just so obsessed with the knowledge of the fucking marker, he kind of blew her off, kind of was cold shoulder to her. But it's a really interesting style, and of course, in the end, nobody makes it out alive. And the 1 or 2 people that do, they get blamed. The one person that makes it out alive gets blamed. They just get straight up blamed for all the bullshit because, martyrs. Which ties around to the whole premise of, the marker and shit, which I will get into that. But yeah, after the IP Cube shit. We even had a really kick-ass ARG, which I didn't get to really play all too terribly much. But it was about these. It was called No Known Survivors, and it was about a couple who dealt with the situation from beginning to end, and it was very heartbreaking, very tragic and shit. And then I think the last final game they did was the Dead Space Mobile, which, surprisingly enough, people have seen it. They just don't realize it. You see it in two popular movies. One, of course, is fucking Krampus for me. The kids are playing it when right before the fat kid gets taken by the fucking gingerbread cookie on the hook. And then I think what was the other movie? It was something like The Darkest Hour, I think was what it was called. But they're also playing it as well. I never played the mobile game, so I couldn't add any input to it. But I have to say, overall, with the IP Cube situation, it really fleshed out the whole story, especially with the books. A lot of the books had to do with the origin of the marker, the whole thing with Unitology, which is the big organized religions group, which, let me address that real quick. So I've heard arguments about the Unitology group. It's either a poke at Scientology, or it's just they needed to come up with a fucking religion to make sense of the marker and shit. And I've heard both from two different, not two different like sources, but I've heard from like one half of the development team just like, yeah, we didn't like Scientology. This is our middle finger to them. And the other half is, no, we just created some random religion. It just happened to coincide with everything that Scientology believes in. Like, I really don't know, so I can't add any input to that. But if y'all are curious, I say look it up, man. Look it up. I'll probably look it up after this podcast, to be honest. I am curious, though, to figure out which dev team member said which one they believed in. I will say, though, the Unitology thing is quite interesting because of the fact that in the original game, we don't really get to know too terribly much about them or about the marker themselves. But in this remake, because they have all this other information and stuff, we learn about, Isaac's connection to it, where originally it came from. Fucking Daniels just spell it out all at the end of the game, to be honest. Like, being dead serious, he just lays it all out there. But, overall, it really ties everything in together. Like, everything just ties in beautifully together. And you don't have to read each and every, book or comic or even play the little side games or even watch some of the movies to get the full story. Like, again, the remake does a great fucking job about narrowing down certain aspects and getting everything ready. I'm pretty sure set up for Dead Space 2's remake, which, fingers crossed. I would definitely love a Dead Space remake, especially if they brought back more of the horror elements, which is something I severely missed in the original Dead Space 2 game. Like, don't get me wrong, they did a good job about a lot of the horror or action balance, but they went the same thing they did to fucking Resident Evil 4. It was a good horror game, let's just add some action to it, so it could appease to everybody. Which, again, I'm not complaining because it was a good game, but there's a reason why Dead Space is just the best horror game ever. But some more little fun facts, though, that I learned was they actually did some real research into the creation of the necromorphs. They didn't just design them. No, apparently they had actual people researching dead, mutilated bodies and shit like that, and actually had a form so they can have a good, visualization of what they're trying to design. And I like that. They're inspired by actual things that happen to people. Now, whether or not people made it, I don't know, but that is what I've been told. That they use actual references and shit to create some of the designs of necromorphs. The word necromorph actually was created by, I want to say it was Glenn's wife. She was going through, pictures, design arts and stuff, and she came up with the word necromorphs, and everybody kind of liked it. They're like, yeah, I fucking like that. That's some good ass shit. But you notice they didn't say it all that much in the game. They didn't call the Necromorphs right off the bat. I think it was mentioned the first time when we actually talked to Dr. Kane. Kine. I don't remember which chapter that is, but he's literally the first guy to call them by that. And the reason is they figured it's like saying like Freddy Krueger's name. It's scary the first like 2-3 times, especially if you're new to him. But if you keep repeating the word over and over again, it loses all lack of scares. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So that's one of the reasons why we don't get to hear the word necromorphs all that much. They thought the more you said it, the funnier it actually got. Which is true. The more I say the word, the more fun it gets. Necromorphs. Huh. That's a nice word. Necromorphs. Which, of course, is a combining of the Greek word necro, which is death, and morph, which is morphication. Which anybody with common knowledge, knows that fucking shit. But the point is, the wife came out with it, and that's why it fucking stuck. Another little fun fact is Nicole. Nicole's actually named after Glenn's daughter, which I thought that was kind of sweet, kind of really sweet. Fucked up, but sweet. The languages that we actually see, by the way, you see it everywhere. I'm talking about it's on the ship, it's on the menus, it's fucking everywhere. It's a real language. Not like in the sense of like Dothraki, not in the sense of, like English, Spanish, all that shit. It's more like the Dothraki language, whereas it was a made-up language for the universe. And that's basically what the Necromorph language is. Fuck, I don't think I wrote down. I don't think I even caught what the actual language is called. But we hear them speak it in the third game. But mainly we just see a lot of writing and shit in the first game. And of course, I have to give one of my favorite Easter eggs. This is one of my favorite Easter eggs. A little nod. When I first played the game, this actually blew my fucking mind. I never had a game before ever do this. I know Dead Space 2 didn't do it, but Dead Space 3 and a lot of the side games and shit did this shit similarly, where the start of each chapter, the first letter of each chapter, if you line them all up, from chapter 1 to the last chapter, it will spell out something. And in Dead Space case, it tells you right off the bat, Nicole is dead. And I always really loved that Easter egg. It was one of my favorite Easter eggs, and I didn't even catch it until I was about... What was it? It wasn't the last chapter. I caught it pretty early, because I was scrolling through it. I had to restart a chapter, because I fucking soft-locked my ass out, because I didn't have enough ammo. And when I was scrolling through the chapters, I realized that he was spelling something. I was like, Nicole is... Looked at my ex-fiance at the time, who's my fiance at the time, and now he's my ex. Looked at him and was just like, the fuck? Granted, we weren't even engaged at that time either. I think we were just talking at that point. But the point is, we discovered this, and I was just like, the fuck? Scared the shit out of me. Loved it, though. It was one of my favorite fucking Easter eggs. And I never had a game before or since do anything like that. Oh, like I said, some more fun facts with unitology. Again, there's no comparison to fucking Scientology. Like, I can kind of see the comparisons, but I'm not gonna get into that because I don't want to piss off Tom Cruise. No offense, Tom Cruise. I don't even like you as an actor or as a person, but I don't want to piss you off. You out there, my dude. You out there. Like, you fucking crazy. So, I've learned not to fuck with crazy. You don't fuck with crazy. But some of the cooler things, just more little fun facts I've learned, is not only in this with the remake, adding more shit to it, we actually learn a little bit more about Isaac's past life. Because in the first game, nothing's really explained much about Isaac, about Isaac's ties to unitology or what Nicole's got to do with it, or why she's even on the Ishimura. And in the remake, they've actually made it to where I'm gonna say it again, flesh it out, And basically we learned that his mother was into unitology, and she was like really gun-ho. Like, she was apparently willing to give money away. She was like high-end, like fucking high priestess of this bullshit. Like, she believed in this shit 110%. So, and Nicole and Isaac both kind of see the radicalness of what the Unitology stood for and how crazy they are. So they tried to help her out by getting her away from the church and helping her. And Nicole okayed her to go back to, I guess, home or wherever. And because of that, well, unfortunately, she killed herself and her husband, aka Isaac's dad, in the name of Unitology. Which is no big surprise and shit, because Unitology, this shit's fucking whack. Let me explain. So Unitology came from okay, actually, let me back it up a little bit more, because we gotta go before even Unitology was a thing. So we have, of course, the red marker, the black marker. The red marker is the one we see a lot in the original 2008 and in the remakes version of Dead Space. We see the red marker a lot. The red marker is not alien made. The red marker is actually created by humans from the black marker that originally was alien technology, and it crashed upon Earth, and some doctor discovered it. Very hesitant, very questionable, so they sent not the black marker, but they sent the red marker to Etrix 7 to test it out, to see, okay, what can this thing do? Since they literally copied it, you know, text by text, because the doctor who researched all this shit learned out through this alien language about, you know, mortality and, you know, the coming of Jesus, or whatever the fuck the marker believes in, the brother moons and all this shit. And he was just like, this don't seem good, guys. This is gonna get out of hand, so I'm gonna get rid of this shit. So when he tried to get rid of it, well, of course, you know, the government can't allow that shit to happen. It's kind of like other people. We're not gonna mention any names. Epstein. The point is, he had to go, so they straight up fucking killed him. And because they couldn't just kill him and call it a day, they made him into a martyr. And the martyr was, he killed himself for the fucking marker, for Unitology, and thus creating Unitology, actually. The government basically used him as a martyr to create Unitology, which is fucked up, because of the fact that they know the marker's bad. Like, they know, because like I said, they killed him, right? And then they sent the red marker to Aegis 7. And then they saw all the fuck shit that was going on in Aegis 7 and went, you know what, maybe this was a bad idea. This was just all terrible, terrible, terrible idea. We're gonna pretend this never happened. They fucking quarantined that shit, shut that shit down, told everyone it was off the fucking limits. So now we're left with a fucking bunch of people who think the marker's some holy grail, and they have to bow down and worship to it because some guy killed himself for it. So this is why we have Unitology, and they believe in the whole aspect of immortality and the convulsions and bullshit. But with fucking Isaac's mom, though, it makes sense because the marker can do that. And I'm assuming the teachings of the marker can do that. Now, I haven't gone through a New Game Plus, so I can't tell you all the information that we've learned about his mother. But I did see a couple, I didn't just see, but we did see an entire scene dedicated to Nicole and Isaac. When Isaac called her, I think shortly before all the bullshit hit the fan, to tell Nicole that his mom and dad were dead, and he basically blamed her, which, if I may also add, is new to the game. And I mean this as in, we never figured out why Nicole went to Ishimura, why, you know, Isaac was so gung-ho about coming to get her. Basically, his last conversation with her, before the little video of that she sent him to draw him there, they got into an argument because he straight up blamed her. He was like, you told me my mother was safe. You told me this, and now she's dead. Now my dad's dead. It's just your fault. Fuck you. And fucking Nicole was just like, all right, fuck off too, asshole. Fucking ended the call. And that's when Isaac realized, oh shit, I done fucked up. I done pushed her away now. So now he feels this over amount of guilt after getting that fucking message of Isaac, everything's going crazy right now. Of course he's got to show up. So adding more backstory to the unitology and fleshing out all this shit really added more character development to this game, which again is saying a lot, especially coming from Isaac Clarke, which I will get to that when I do a comparison of the characters. Another thing I've noticed while playing the game is, the original game, was when you're in the menu, there was like weird flashes and imagery of very intense gore and violence. And I never really thought much of it, to be perfectly honest. I was just like, okay, this is just the game being the game, you know, because the creepy whispering and the fucking symbols and shit. But here's a little plot twist. Now, I don't know how much relevance, trueness this is, so please take this with a grain of salt. But apparently someone can back this up and said, no, this is coming directly from one of the dev members. Apparently the creepy, disturbing images we see are of an actual dead goat. Like they've, I guess, got a dead goat from wherever you get dead animals from to do your, I know you can get them. I know you can get them because we had to use them in school. We had like the dead pig and the crabs and the squids and all that shit. We had to dissect. I'm sure there's a place they had to go get this damn dead goat. But apparently a group of them got together, got this damn dead goat, got really fucked up on some booze, and took a hell of a lot of pictures. And thus is why we create this amazing fucking screen. And now I would never look at that menu screen the same ever again. I am not gonna lie. Here's another little fun fact as well. So, apparently the idea of the hub, was something, Glenn really wanted to make different. He didn't want the actual counter there. He didn't want the health bar, up in the top corner. He wanted to, not have any breaks, no pauses or anything, especially during the remake. You can see it. Especially the fact that you can't open up your inventory without having to worry about something coming up your ass. I'm not even lying about that. The inventory menu doesn't even pause the game. It just pauses when you hit the pause button. But one of the things, of course, is his health bar. And rumor is, and no one knows who said this, by the way. This is a fun fact about this. It's one of those, somebody said it, but nobody remembers who said it or what the hell they were talking about, but they all ran with it. But apparently during one of the meetings, somebody was just like, hey, why don't we do the health design like this scuba gear I saw one time where it shows you your health meter and shit. And everyone's just like, that's a grand idea. That's perfect, fucking wonderful. Let's do it. But nobody knows who said it, and no one knows where the fuck the design for this scuba gear came from. And just one more little fun fact about the 2008 game that I found was when creating the moment where the hive tentacle, which throughout the game we're attacked by the hive tentacle, and it keeps grabbing our leg and then just trying to pull us away. Well, because, 2008 design-wise, they had to create a whole new technical style of fighting for just these little tidbits of the tentacles showing up. And it was something they never, done before. So it was a new experience for everybody to try this kind of design-wise out when it came to fighting. But yeah, I just thought that was some interesting little fun facts I learned. Of course, we all know the fact that EA ruined the game franchise, though. Let's get it out there. We're gonna say it. EA, you fucked up, my dudes. You fucked up. You fucked up big time. Let me explain. So EA had a fucking gold mine on their hands when it came to Dead Space. Of course, when it originally came out, the sales weren't all that great at first. It was a very slow start. But by that next year, 1 million copies were sold. All from word of mouth and shit. But because of, this gold mine, they're like, okay, well, we got to get an episode 2 out. We got to get Dead Space 2 out. And they, of course, all went in with the movies, the comic books, the regular books. They're the reason we have all this information out there is because they really pushed it. They really pushed it. So then we got Dead Space 2, which of course they wanted to make it a little bit different, more action heavy, you know, inclusive to all, because horror gaming is very niche market. It's very hard to find the right niche market for it. But, you know, they got like a dedicated fan base and people who like this shit. So, of course, you know, they're going to do it too and add more so new people come in. Then we get to the third game. I'm sure you can hear my intense sigh. Like I said, I never really finished the game. I've seen people play it. I've watched people play it. I played the first hour or so. And I'm going to be honest, EA ruined the entire franchise by not only taking Dead Space out of its element, which made the game scary, the fact that, you know, it didn't take place in space. It took place on a fucking planet. First of all, let me just add that tidbit. A fucking planet, okay? There's daytime scenes. We have daytime scenes. It's very bright outside, all right? Nothing ruins a scary game than brightness. If you can see the monsters, you're ruining the whole sneaking up aspect that they had in the fucking spaceship with the vents and all that shit. Second of all, co-op. You again take away a scary factor in a survival horror game when you can have a buddy with you. And I don't mean like an annoying ass buddy like Ashley from Resident Evil 4, which, God, I hate that bitch. But, you know, you got that person you can play with and do little banter. And if you play by yourself, the cutscenes just don't make any sense. Without the co-op person, you just like, your person's there and then suddenly just disappears like they're a fucking ghost. But they're very much alive. They're not figments of your imagination like Nicole is in the first game. No, they're just not there. And it's very aggravating. It's just like, Dead Space is supposed to be this disturbing dark game, and you took two of the biggest crucial aspects of making it a disturbing dark game and threw it out the fucking window. And then let's get on top of the biggest issues I had with the game, though. The microtransaction. The pay-to-win transaction. The fact that you could literally pay to get some kind of... What the hell was that damn weapon? It was just like this crazy ass like infinite ammo kind of bullshit where it was just like one shot kill bullshit. And you didn't even have to fucking earn it. Like in these other games, you have to earn your ultimate kill weapon. And this one's just like, oh, you want it? All right, $10, it's yours. And it's real actual money, not in-game currency, real money. The pay-to-win aspect is bullshit. I never liked pay-to-win. I always thought pay-to-win was a cheap fuck off. Like, seriously, just a cheap fuck off. Because of the fact that, what's the point of playing, what's the point of even playing the game if you could just pay to win? Like, why did you spend $60 on the game, spend $10 more just to basically speed run it because you got a fucking infinite ammo and shit? I had an issue with that. I really did. I honestly had a big ass issue with that. I'm just like, you just threw the whole concept of the game out the window and now you're doing this shit? You've done lost me, EA. You done lost me, you know. Even though at the end of the game, the whole thing tying back in with the Brother Moons and the fact that, you know, they're fucking alive and we don't get a fourth game, but because they made these terrible ass decisions in the third game, it's the reason why we didn't get a fourth game. Which is very disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. Because I would love to have seen the conclusion. And I'm hoping that maybe, you know, with the resurgence of Dead Space, we can get a Dead Space 2 remake, which brings back the scare, and then a proper Dead Space 3 to maybe tie everything in. That doesn't have to be filler, but we could just tie everything in. Or they can remake it completely from the ground up, and then do a Dead Space 4, and do something completely new to tie everything in and wrap us up, because I feel bad for my boy Isaac Clarke. Homie just can't catch a fucking break. Like, seriously, he cannot catch a fucking break. But now let's go with more into the in-depth comparison now. Alright, so, as we know with this remake, they have done it from the ground up. Completely from the ground up. Like, they've done, re-recorded voice lines, added shit, taken away shit, moved shit around. Like, this game was literally, might as well start off as a brand new game. But luckily they had the original version to go off of, and they expanded on it and added to it. They did a Resident Evil 2 remake. They didn't do Resident Evil 3 remake. even though, you know, it wasn't that bad. But I still was kind of ticked off about the clock tower thing not being there. But the point is, they did a Resident Evil 2 where it's faithfully recreated, but things are just turned a little bit different just so the story could flow a little bit better and make more sense. But because they did all that, of course, they had to get new voice actors, and we have Gunnar Wright, who, funny enough, did the voicing for Isaac Clarke in both Dead Space 2 and 3. We have Bridget Chandler, who did Kendra. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his full name, to be honest. The guy who plays Dr. Mercer. Farron Tahir. He was really voiced by Navid Nekbarn or something like that. I don't know, very talented voice actors, by the way. All these guys, by the way, very talented voice actors. Of course, Nicole Byrne is voiced by Tanya Clark, who was originally voiced by... Oh, shit, what's her name? Laura Lamorne? Try to say that 5 times fast. Laura Lamont. And then Hammond is voiced by Anthony Albraid, who was originally voiced by Peter Mesh. And in the original 2008 version, because, you know, these actors voiced them, of course, they did this whole thing where they're kind of resembling the actors. So with these new voice actors coming in, they had to change the look as well. Now, a lot of people don't like a lot of these new looks and a lot of these new changes. You know, some of the biggest arguments I've seen is that they're upset that both Kendra and Nicole are aged up. Like, how dare a 40-year-old person have a normal job and gets caught up in this bullshit? How dare our main character be a 40-year-old man with a 40-year-old lover? How dare us? Seriously, how dare us? You know, we all our love stories have to be young 20-year-olds. You know, no one over 30 or 40 can have any love stories. Like, seriously, guys, get the fuck over it. Like, everybody needs to be exclusive here when it comes to dating, okay? Because they look young in 2008 doesn't mean we can't age them up a little bit. Now, it's not like we aged them up to like they're 90 fucking years old, you know, trying to kill necromorphs with fucking walkers and canes and shit. But they did age them up to a more realistic standard and actually made the models look really, really good and look just like the actors. And I like that. And I like the design of these characters. And I like the fact that they added more characters to the story and fleshed them out some more. What was it? It was Chin, and I cannot think of the woman's name. But they originally were 2 unknown fucking guards from the beginning of the game that get killed off pretty early. And Chin becomes an emotional crush to Hammond the entire time because he feels so bad. I'm assuming they were like bestest buddies, like before all this bullshit. The way he described Chin was, you know, he couldn't let him down. He was, they were like each other's best friends and bullshit. So, you know, it has a lot of emotional baggage when he dies, or let me phrase that. When he comes back and kills Hammond and dies then. When he originally died, you know, you don't really know the guy, so there's no emotional heartfelt, oh my God. No, but when he dies with Hammond, it's kind of like, oh my God, like that's sad because, you know, throughout this whole thing, Hammond keeps thinking this is Chin, like he's questioning, he's like, hey, this is Chin, like this looks like Chin, like, but he's dead though, but you know, that's Chin though, right? And it really bothers him because he's really trying to help his team, especially the fact that he keeps saying, I will not lose any more men, and yet he keeps losing men and women. He loses everybody. But fucking, you know, Hammond really took, you know, having to throw that motherfucker off into outer space in an escape pod and killing other people, by the way. Which I might add, that was very stupid to put that necromorph into the escape pod and then send it out to begin with, even if it wasn't Chin, because in the original one, it was just a normal necromorph, which, by the way, that's something they did also add, is a lot of the necromorphs, because they added, you know, Chin to the, as a new character lineup with more emotional backstories and baggage, he is now the necromorph chasing him around. which I like that. It has more character development. It actually adds a layer of feeling real. And then we have this new girl, which I don't really remember her name, because we only talked to her for like 5, maybe not even 10 minutes, because we see her for all of like 3 minutes in the beginning of the game, and then we come back again, I think like an hour later, and the ship blows up. So she ends up dying pretty quickly. But I do like the fact that, they added her as a character and actually gave her some lines of dialogue, explain why she's just sitting in the ship. She's, oh, we gotta fix this shit because we fucked the shit up. But like I said, when it comes to adding some shit, not only do we have those 2 new characters, and of course the typical upgrading to textures and the graphics, but the fact that, and I think I said this earlier, that even the necromorphs themselves are different. They actually have clothes now, which, like ripped from their uniforms and not just naked little creatures running around. Each one, which surprising enough, I actually learned some information about these necromorphs that I didn't need to know information, but I learned it anyway. And when I get to the necromorph section, I'll show y'all and shower y'all with the information I've learned. It was mainly about one of them that I just didn't need to know. But they were just like, well, let me tell you anyway. But, besides, the new looks and outfits and, like, new, fucking ways to get around the ship, because originally it was, we went to each different, like, I guess, level of the ship by the tram system. Like, we would, okay, ending of chapter 1, we go to the tram, and now we're in medical bay to start chapter 2, here we go. Where now we have it to where they basically, the tram is one of the primary operations to get, from one place to another, but you have to use all these side hallways, like maintenance hallways and shit, to get to the actual level to unlock the tram, so you can kind of quick travel back and forth. But they have it where the ship is now interconnected to itself, so there's no need of, each chapter starts a new level of the deck. You can literally stay on one end of the deck and then come back to it, where in the original version, you couldn't come back to a chapter. You did the medical, and you're not coming back until you come back for another chapter. Once you're in that section, you stayed there. Now they have it to where you can just fucking walk your ass around all day, every day. But that also adds to some of the newer gameplay mechanics, which I will get into in a minute. But besides new recruits, and new mapping layouts and shit, and new hub design, by the way. And I don't mean like they like redecorated and shit. No, it just looks cleaner. A lot of the shit looks cleaner. The texture looks nice. It looks very vivid, very bright, and the fucking pause menu still does that thing with the glitchy, weird, creepy whispering effects and shit. But like I said, Isaac is now voiced by the original character who voiced him in the second and third game. And that being said, though, if y'all don't know, which I'm sure, if you're a fan of Dead Space, or you even new to Dead Space, and you don't know this, but Isaac never spoke in the original game. In 2008, they wanted a silent protagonist so you, as the player, could project yourself onto this character, which I like that. As a game's point of view, I like that. That's a nice gesture, nice idea, that help people really get immersed into the game. But now they've added to where, Isaac actually has emotion. And it's not like some bullshit where he's cracking jokes every 5 minutes. Like, he gets spoken to, he speaks back. He says, someone says something, they say something back. The only time we ever hear him say random shit, and it's mainly the word, fuck you. I'm not even joking. I discovered this when I was squishing a horde of fucking necromorphs. And as he's you just hear Isaac, fuck you. And I'm just like, oh, Isaac. Tell us how you really feel, motherfucker. Tell us how you really feel. But, they added these, nice voice lines and shit for him to have. So it adds another, like I said, another little layer to the character development. It actually adds more realisticness. Granted, you can't project yourself onto Isaac, but I feel like people never had a problem doing that beforehand, Like, when I play games, I feel like it's me and this person I'm playing. Like, it's we We people. Like me and Leon, my homeboy Leon. Me and Leon are always doing shit. But when Leon ain't running, I get mad at Leon. Just, Leon, run faster, bitch. The amount of times I yelled at Isaac for not fucking running fast enough is beyond my comprehension of numbers. Because I'm being dead serious. I yelled at him a lot because I probably should have changed this in the setting department. Which I'm not even going to get into that argument. Which, okay, actually, you know what? I am real quick. Let me do a little side note real quick. So there's actually apparently a bunch of people out there who are butthurt. I don't give a shit you get pissed, man. But they're butthurt about the fact that they have trigger warnings and shit in this game. You know, like, hey, heads up, this audio you're about to listen to is fucked up. Oh, hey, you know, what's about to happen? You're about to walk in this room, it's fucked up. And a lot of people are like, well, this is Dead Space, man. You know, and when what I mean by a lot of people, I mean like the handful of gatekeepers on Twitter, by the way. I mean like 4 of them. But the point is, it's made it big enough that people have been talking about it. But they're basically gatekeeping the fact that Dead Space shouldn't need a trigger warning, you know. Oh, you know, you're playing Dead Space, you know, you're playing it to play the game. You know, why are you gonna blur out the gore or do this? You know, we don't want to see the dismemberment. Why the fuck you playing the game? Because people still want to play the game, my homie. Let me explain why I'm okay with this UI thing. First of all, it's fucking optional. Okay? You're bitching about something that's optional. The option is there. You don't have to fucking use it. It's automatically off in the game. When you start the game, it's automatically off. Okay? So shut the fuck up. Second of all, I get the trigger warnings. Okay? In the show 13 Reasons Why, during the last episode when Hannah Baker killed herself, they had to have a similar trigger warning. Just, hey guys, we're about to show you some shit. Granted, though, they showed way too much. They showed way too fucking much. And yeah, I got my own gripe with that show. But there's a lot of suicide in this game. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of fucking suicide. People are killing themselves. People are killing each other. It's very graphic, very gory. And there was one that actually disturbed me. And I'm not easily disturbed, but it literally just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm hearing this. And it's this one where you're listening to an audio log. And I'm not even paying attention to my surroundings, by the way. Like, I came into the room, I saw something purple, I was like, ooh, let me grab it. And it started the audio log. So I'm listening to this audio log. I'm not paying attention to the floors around me or anything. But this audio log is literally a guy chopping his limbs off. And he is screaming. But he's like, it's literally like this. Like, he's sitting there. Oh my God, they're gonna come in. I'm gonna die anyway. I know they're gonna die, but I'm not gonna become one of those fucking things. I'm not gonna become one of those fucking things. Oh God, what can I do? Oh, I gotta cut it off. I gotta cut it off. And he proceeds to literally cut off his arms, his legs. You hear him just, just screaming, agonizing fucking pain. And he's like gasping for air, just one more, just one more, and it's just like, Jesus, fuck, man. And it's like, and then what really, the part that really got me was, you know, it abruptly ends as he's screaming. And it's just silence. Just utter silence at the end of the audio log. And I'm just, you know, just a hand in mouth, like, the fuck did I just listen to? And then I look down on the ground, there's his fucking body, just missing his limbs and shit. I'm just like, oh my fucking God. But, you know, shit like that. You're like, hell, we even watched like this one where we watched this woman literally turn around, look at you, and slit her throat. Where in the original version of that scene, we come in, she does her hysterical laughter, and then she slits her throat, you know, with her back turned to us. In this one, she actually hysterically laughs, says she's gonna cut it out after stabbing somebody, turns around, looks at us dead in the eye, and then slits her throat. I get the trigger warnings. I understand it. But again, guys, y'all are bitching about the fact that it's optional. It's an optional thing, okay? So grow the fuck up, go touch some grass, and live your life, bro. Just live your fucking life. Like, seriously, you're gonna get mad about optional shit. Like, seriously, that's like getting mad at optional colors. Like, this black shirt. Does it come in any other colors? Yeah, it comes in blue, it comes in white, it comes in green. I hate this shirt. It comes in optional shit. I don't like it. Fuck this shit. Like, seriously, what sense does that fucking make? But, like I said, though, I'm sorry I didn't mean to go on a tangent about that, but that was something that really, really bothered me. Like, all week long, that was just bothering me. Like, who the fuck is gatekeeping that goddamn hard? It's the same motherfuckers who are gatekeeping the fact that they don't like the fact that Daniel and Nicole are aged up and they're not these hot bod women and not gorgeous and shit. I'm like, first of all, that's insulting to the actual actresses playing these people, okay? That's insulting. And insulting to the guy who plays Isaac Clarke, too, because he's talking mad shit on that dude, too. Just, oh, God, they aged him. They made my dude look like shit. Like, bro, these are actual people. You saying these actual people are fucking ugly? Like, damn, bro, you cold. Grow the fuck up. It's just a video game. Get over it. Anyway, I personally like the choices and the designs and stuff. Granted, I didn't use a lot of the features. I think I did use the auto aim assist thing, which, by the way, did not help me. I used it for the final boss because they changed the final boss just a little bit, where you had to shoot his little acid balls on his face and shit. They were smaller. In the original game, they were like big basketball-sized things. And this one, they're small as shit. So I was like, I need some help because I suck at shooting. I suck at shooting. Like, especially shooting moving targets. Like, I can shoot a slow-moving target. But this thing is aggressive. It's slashing around. It's moving its tentacles and shit. So, yeah, no, I needed help, and it didn't help me. That's my one gripe. That's my one gripe about that. Auto aim assist does not actually aim nor assist me. I did my best, though, during that shit. I did my best. But, besides the changes to some of the hubs and some of the added features and shit, we did get some new cool shit to the game. We got, of course, the zero gravity sections that are completely changed from the original game. Where in the original one, we had to stand still, look in a certain direction, hit a button, then whoo, and then, it made fighting the Leviathan a pain in the ass. It made doing anything without gravity a pain in the ass. But because they decided to take a note from Dead Space 2, they added some of the zero gravity fields to make getting around a lot easier, a hell of a lot easier, and I appreciate that. Another thing I noticed that they changed was the gravity well section, where I know I had this bad habit. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but in that section alone, I do remember dying multiple times because I accidentally stepped on one of these sons of bitches. Accidentally, didn't realize it, fucking disintegrator right then and there. They actually made it now where there's these nice blue lights like electrical shit. Looks real sweet. I'm not fucked up by that shit. Granted, I got fucked up a couple of times because I walked into it by mistake. We're not gonna talk about that time the fucking brute just busted on in near the end of that section and scared the living hell out of me to the point that I ran into it. Like, I ran into the electrical thing. I got so scared, I ran into the electrical thing. I turned around, dead. Just fucking dead. Another cool thing that they added was the electrical panel outlets. This was a new feature I absolutely fucking loved. Like, the first time I ran into it, it scared the ever-living shit out of me. I'm in the maintenance room, and I use it, and it's like, all right, turn the door on. Turn the lights off. Oh, great. Now I gotta walk down to this dark creepiness, not alone at all, by the way, back down to the second floor. Can I tell you it was a pain in the ass just get down one flight of stairs, okay? It was a pain in the ass. I was scared shitless the entire time. But I made it. That's the point. I made it. It was all good. But they added those new electrical panels, which added great atmosphere to the game. And it has a bit of a challenge and mystique whether or not you want to go investigate certain doors and shit. Of course, we got this new armor and gun upgrade thing, and I don't mean like we can go in and just upgrade it. At the end of each chapter, we have the store and shit. So, they would just give us the guns, give us the armor upgrades and all that shit, just right off the bat. As soon as that chapter either started or ended, it was like, all right, here you go. Here's the plasma, not the plasma cug. We get that right off the bat anyway. But here's like the pulse rifle. Here's the Ripper. Here's this, here's that. But in the remake, that doesn't happen. In the remake, each gun has its own collective cutscene of you finding it in different sections of the ship. And the armor upgrades and shit, you can get, I'm not quite sure exactly when they show it. They just show it randomly throughout the thing, and it mainly adds more inventory space to your pockets, basically. But, you know, like, the schematics for, like, you know, more kinesis, more life, more, you know, gun ammo, adding this add-on to this gun. Again, just like the guns, you had to find just walking around. Like, there was no, you know, just, here you go. That you actually had to look for it. And I really like that because of the fact that they added side quests to this game, because the whole fact that, you know, the ship's open now, so you could travel back and forth and shit. And because, you know, they added this whole back and forth system and added the fact that, you know, you can pick up these guns whenever, you can grab the guns in whatever order you want, for one. And second of all, when, you know, you get these guns, you can actually use all your nodes, by the way. All your nodes. There's no longer the need for a node to open up restricted doors anymore. It's just, here's your node. Do what you want with it. It's so beautiful. I loved it. I was just like, I'm going to upgrade all my... Granted, though, I will say, I only stuck with 3 guns. The Ripper, of course. Pulse Cutter. And then I used the Pulse... No, it was the plasma cutter and the pulse rifle. So the Ripper, cutter, and the rifle are the ones I used the most. The rifle mainly was because I always had like a shit ton of ammo. I don't know why, I just always had a shit ton of ammo. And the fucking Ripper was just badass. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite guns to use throughout the whole game, especially this playthrough. It's just a top tier for me, top fucking tier. But because of, you know, all the, you know, back and forth and shit and traveling and whatnot and who not, they also do this thing called security levels, which is certain doors are locked behind security levels, which you can get the last, like, master security lock, because there's only 4 of them. There's literally security level 1, 2, and 3, and then the master override lock. But because, you know, you can get all that, you can go into other rooms, other lockers, and get extra goodies, extra schematics, extra, just a little bit of extra shit. And it really, really, again, adds incentive to travel back and forth. You know, not just use the tram, but just travel, man. Just travel. But yeah, no, I have to say they added a lot to this game. They tweaked a lot, and they actually improved a lot on a lot of shit. I didn't really have any issues with performing. I will say I've ran into, I think, 2 major glitches. They're not really major, like game breaking or anything like that. But I don't really know how to explain this one. So it's like your character's there, but you're invisible. If that makes any fucking sense. This happened to me on stream, and it happened to me off stream. When I was playing over I think 2 weekends ago, the weekend I got the game, you know, I was playing with my boyfriend at the time. No, he's still my boyfriend. But I was playing with him, and he died in one section. But when he died, you know, it didn't do the whole death animation, you know, with the you know, ringing of the heartbeat, dying, and then, you know, loading up to the loading screen and taking us back to where we started. It just did the animation, and then we kind of just stood there for a minute. And we were all walking around and all that shit. So then we got back into the game, you know, because we had to reset everything, because he can't die. Apparently he's already dead, so, you know, we had to reset again. And when we reset again, we spawn in, and nothing was triggering. Nothing was triggering at all. Like, it was awful. Like, we were walking around, like, opening up doors and shit, and nothing was happening. So we had to reset again, and then finally it worked. But, you know, that one kind of blew our minds. It's like, what the fuck? And granted, I haven't had issues like that since then. But the one that happened yesterday was fucking priceless. So I literally just pulled the game up, was getting the stream started and everything. As soon as I get done doing my intro and whatnot, go to click on the game, I spawn in. There's no Isaac there. It's just emptiness. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm able to open up doors. I'm able to, like, push the controller pad around and shit. So, you know, I'm bringing up my menus and all that. And granted, the guns aren't showing up, but the enemies notice I'm here, so they go to attack me, and I can squish them to death. I did that to one of them. I squished it to fucking death. And eventually I had them kill me, and then I spawned them back in, you know, and everything was right as rain. But I just thought that was funny. Like, as soon as I get into the game, it made me invisible. And I died laughing. I seriously, I need that chuckle. I needed that chuckle. And, you know, so not too big of a broken glitch. And, of course, just another little small glitch that I've noticed is some of the bodies tweak out. I'm not gonna lie. I had a body by a door just appeared and disappeared and reappear every time I got close to the door. Like, I'm being that serious. I forget where it was at. Fuck, it was the start of one of my playthroughs. I went to a room. I was at the store and shit. Was about to leave, and then literally, like, as I was heading towards the door, a body just spawned in, so I backed up and it disappeared, so then I walked back again and it spawned back in. It scared the shit out of me. And then another one was, I got done squishing one, and he wouldn't stop twitching, so I just kept squishing him to, you know, the limbs were everywhere. And one little foot leg got stuck on the ground, so it was like tweaking out like it was trying to dance and shit. That was the funniest thing in the world. But the point is, those are some of those more smaller glitches, nothing too crazy, nothing too, you know, pissing me off. Like, I've ran into some glitches in the games before that just pissed me off. Like in Cyberpunk 2077, when I ran into that soft lock glitch where if you had too much stuff in your inventory that the game would progress and nothing you did would it would work, it would just corrupt your game file. Yeah, that shit pissed me off. This glitch, not so much. I actually had a good time during it. Died fucking laughing. Now, I will say they didn't really change too terribly much when it came to the necromorphs. They're still, you know, it's kind of the same, like, general idea, you know. Again, they added more details and textures and shit. But we see each and every, you know, one of these guys throughout at least the first game, and them coming back through this remake. I think the only one they added that was new, don't hold me to this because it's been a minute since I played the original 2008 version of Dead Space. Well, I want to say it's the Weezers. I want to say they're like the only new necromorphs, but I could be wrong. 100% I could be wrong, and I just misremembering them not being there or something like that. But of course we got the Hunter, which you learn in some audio logs and backstories, because there's literally a trophy for the origins of the Hunter. You find out he was a guy, I can't think of his name. It wasn't Temple. Temple got killed in a way cooler way this time. But it was a guy who, you know, of course got too close to the marker, and Dr. Mercer, you know, was drilling through his head and awakened, you know, what the marker was trying to do to him. And basically mutated him, turned him into this indestructible being that's extremely annoying and pops up throughout the whole story to torment you because you can't kill it. You could just run from it, from your dreadful nightmares. You could just run. I mean, you could try to fight it, but it just come right back. Like, seriously, it just morphs right in front of you. It just, oh, okay, you chopped me up. Whoop. Back to normal. Super annoying. Then you have the Brute, which is technically like our first boss fight. He shows up right, I think right before you go to medical, to be honest. I could be wrong, but he shows up somewhere in like the first few chapters. Decent fight, really loved that, especially the first time seeing the fight. Granted, though, I fucked up. I went to the door and went, nah, let me change my mind and go to this other door, but because I got too close to the door, it already activated the cutscene. So I missed the whole big reveal of the Brute busting through the door right in front of me because I was at this other door. But, you know, I had a good time fighting him. It wasn't too hard. The amount of times I had to fight him, though, got a little redundant, especially near the end when one just showed up out of nowhere and scared the fuck out of me. Like, I was expecting, like, a horde to be down there. I wasn't expecting him to show up, though. I really should have, though. Of course, we got the Stranglers, who is the fucking head of the detangled, oh god, what are they called? The Depthlers or something like that. It's the tall, skinny, lanky ones where as you shoot them, their body parts fall off. They start trying to fucking choke you out and shit. The fucking head has one of the cooler death animations where eventually like strangles your head till it pops off, and then it takes the tentacles and then digs itself inside your neck hole, and then the head flops there and takes control of your body. It's really fucking cool. And of course we have the Weezers, who are part of Cross's team, who got, of course, corrupted by the marker. The Twitchers. Oh my god, I forgot about the fucking Twitchers. They scared the ever fuck out of me because they changed the fucking animation to them twitching out. Basically, these are guys who were corrupted by the marker who had fucking staso things on them. So they're like all over the fucking place, and they got crackhead energy all over the fucking place. The Leviathan, which that fight, I love the fact that we did a zero gravity fight without having to do the whole jump to this wall, jump to this wall. It wasn't a hard fight. It just took me a minute to actually beat it because of the fact that I was not playing smart enough. And I totally didn't even realize till after I got done with the fight that I could totally fucking kinetic state the acid balls and throw it right back at him. I should have known that, but I completely didn't even think about that and was just trying to do it all badass old school with nothing but guns. And then we have the Effectors, who of course are the bat-looking ones. We mainly get a lot of them in the end of the game when they come swarming in, wake up all the necromorphs and, you know, get them changing shit. They basically come in and infect the bodies and then dip the fuck out. That's basically their whole job and duty. To be perfectly honest, I didn't see too many of them because I made damn sure to kill every fucking body I found. Every body, I just smashed you a billion pieces. I don't care, there was 20 bodies lined up. I killed every body in that lineup because I was not going to deal with it. No. But one of the bigger times you might remember them is when you go to the captain's body in the remake, and yeah, that thing pops up out of nowhere and straight up changes him right on top of you. Just right on top of you. We have the Slug, which is, in the original one, I don't think it had anything to do with the Leviathan. To be perfectly honest, I want to say the original one, it was something else. Granted, it was called the Slug, but it was a different idea. Like, something caught the edge of it, and then it morphed to the side of the ship or something. Where in the remake, I think they said it was the Leviathan. When they tossed it out, it hung onto the ship and then fucking started morphing to the side. Which, by the way, that Leviathan fight, the second Leviathan fight, amazing. I loved it. It was easy. It was simple. It took me 2 times. The first time was because I was just getting in the hang of it. The second time, fucking easy. Fucking easy. Then we got the Exploders, which is one that has like a big ass, like, infected acid ball in his hand, and he has just one, both his legs are kind of fused together to make one long skinny foot, so they hobble everywhere and shit. And these guys, they make some of the creepy ass noises. We got the Lurkers, of course, are those little baby fucks from the oh god, what was it? What section was it? Granted, they show up everywhere after that section, but it's the little baby fuckers with the tentacles that squirt shit, and they're very annoying, and they like to attack you everywhere but where you need to be shooting at. Like, oh, we're gonna chill on the ceiling and shoot your ass. Oh, we're gonna be over here. Oh, no, we're behind you now, and we're strangling your ass. Like, seriously, fucking annoying. Then, of course, we have the OG classic design for the necromorphs, which are the fucking slashers. Of course, they're the OG versions with the pointed fucking hands and the little hands coming out of the torso and the jaw removed and shit. Very creepy. Their whole main purpose in the game is just to maim you, just to maim and murder you. Then you got the Guardians, which is the ones stuck on the walls with the tentacle that insta-kill your ass if you get too close. Like, God forbid you get too close to ripper those fucking tentacles off, they fucking end you. Now, this is the one I didn't need to know this information about. But they scarred me with this information, so I'm going to scar the rest of y'all with this information. Okay, so, there's this one necromorph that I didn't even know the name of until I was looking this shit up. It's the one that's the fat one with the acid ball on the stomach, and it chases after you, and then when you shoot it and it explodes, little fuckers come out, right? Well, these these particular necromorphs only come from pregnant women. Thus is why they're called the pregnant. The little minions that come out are from the pregnant women. They're the little remnants of the baby. It's disturbing if you think about it. It really is fucking disturbing, the fact that these pregnant women became fucking necromorphs and so did their unborn babies. Creepy. Disturbing. The game is good. Then you got your leapers, which are the slug-looking ones that like to fucking jump everywhere. You see them a lot in the zero-gravity section. Really annoying. They're more annoying than anything else. And I think we have like the spitters, several of them. Mainly a lot of the OG-looking ones, the slashers, are like these spitters, quote-unquote. Yeah, they're very annoying. They'll just stand there and just spit from you from fucking across the hallway and shit. And they impeccable aim. They always got impeccable aim. Like, you be doing fucking backflips and shit, and they'll somehow still get your ass. And then, of course, we have the hive mind, which they haven't really done too terribly much when it came to design choice. Like I said, the only thing they really changed was when you're fighting him, the balls are now smaller. But it's still just, just a simple, I'm going to say it's a little bit easier. I could be remembering the boss fight wrong, but I do remember struggling so hard in the original boss fight. So it was very fucking easy the second time around. I only played it, I think, 3 times? Yeah, 3 times. That first initial time, the second time to learn its pattern, the third time to actually kill it. But, yeah, no, they really didn't do too terribly much to the necromorphs. They're still the same necromorphs we fucking love and adore. Like I said, the Weezers are the only ones I think they added. Again, I could be wrong. Don't hold me to it. Now, some of the other like big major changes that they made in the game is some of the dialogue and death changes. Of course, one of the bigger ones I've noticed is when we were originally supposed to get the stasis mod. Oh, not the stasis mod, the kinesis module. And we don't get the in the original game, we got the kinesis module when we walk to a room and there's a woman there and she's got like bandages on her eyes. She's like cuddling a body, like patting it down like she's petting a dog or something. And he's here, you made it, take this. And then she gives it to you and she drops it. And then she looks at you and goes, can I die now? Can I finally be with them? And then fucking collapses over like she's fucking hysterical. Woman's crazy. She's seen some shit. Not necessarily, because she probably blinded her ass. But the point is, the woman's crazy. Where this time in the remake, we come up to her. She ain't being hysterical or crazy. She's literally got one of those fucking creature hands stabbed into her chest. And she's just like, they came from everywhere. And then dies. Like, and something I want to point out about this particular, about these particular deaths is, in the original, 2008 version of these games, there was a lot of hysteria going around. People doing crazy shit, people mumbling, talking, acting fucking crazy. And I noticed they turned down some of the craziness, and it makes sense now. It does, especially if you watch the movies and read some of the comic books and shit. It makes sense. Not everybody's fucking gonna be infected the same way. Some people, they can fight it off, but they still get the hallucinations. They try to kill themselves. They still, see something. They try to kill somebody. That's normal, especially the audio hallucinations, the whispering and shit. That's normal. But they toned down the craziness where a lot of people, because we just came in on this ship. It's been about a week since they brought this marker up here. So not everyone's fully fucking crazy. And not everyone's aware of what's going on down in the ship. As you notice in Downfall, the movie, a lot of the people are isolated. Because the ship's so huge. The Ishimura is so huge. They're isolated, so they're not aware of the fact that down the crew deck, there's some bullshit going on. They're in the fucking mining section. They're like, hey, man, have you seen Joe? Well, he went to the medical wing, hasn't come back yet. They don't fucking know this shit. So, of course, if they got attacked or killed and Isaac happened to come upon them, they're not gonna be hysterical and crazy. They're gonna be like, oh my god, they came from every fucking where and then die. You know? And I like that. That's a good fleshed out moment, you know? Adds more layers of details and add more character development to the actual overarching narrative. Like, as weird as that sounds, it adds an overarching narrative. And just doesn't just say, oh, well, the marker makes you crazy. The end. Especially in the 2008 version where it made it seem like only Isaac and one other guy, which is Kane, were the only people having these kind of hallucinations. But yet everybody was acting crazy and like slamming their heads against walls and shit. But in this one, they changed it up. They kind of toned down a lot. Granted, the craziness is still there. Don't get me wrong. Again, that fucking audio log I told you about, the one where, you know, we hear the guy cut his own fucking limbs off. That was disturbing. So the craziness is still fucking there, but they made it more realistic crazy. You know, people are not just mumbling, you know, and just, you know, oh, take it, and then fucking collapsing over. They're actually, you know, being realistic here. You know, let's take all this information in and be realistic. And that's what I like about that. Another death is, of course, it's Chain's death. It's much more cooler in the remake, I'm not gonna lie. Granted, it's very similar, but it's also different. In the original version, you know, we actually see, and it looks goofy as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. Watching the necromorph come up behind him, like he's trying to sneak up on him, it's fucking goofy as shit, because you just see like the little pointy ends just doing, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. So they, you know, and of course Isaac, what always bothered me is that Isaac saw this shit coming. Why did he bang on the window and go, hey man, I'm behind you? Now, in the remake, it makes more sense now. In the remake, something comes up from the ceiling, and of course our eyes and attention are taken to the ceiling, and then the necromorph comes up through the fucking floor and then stabs him right in front of you and then pins him against the window, thus kicking off the start of the game. And I really like that attention to detail, that the fact that they added this whole intro and made it even scarier just by tweaking just the slightest thing, and it's literally just the reveal of the necromorph. That's it. Just the timing. That was it. And I like that. And again, you hear me say that a lot. I've pointed this one out. The woman that killed herself, again, you know, instead of, you know, killing herself with, you know, just slitting her throat with her back turned to us, she's looking dead at us as she does it. We have, of course, Captain Matthias' death, which, again, I said that this one earlier as well, where originally, you know, it looked like, oh, well, the good doctor might have killed the captain. And then the remake, it's, no, that looked like an accident. And then in Downfall, it's, no, it was definitely an accident, but it was the guy with glasses' fault. It wasn't the doctor's fault. But his whole transformation scene also changed as well. In the original version of this game, when you go to get the card off the body, we see this fucking infector come out of nowhere, fucking stab him in the head, do its thing, jerk him off, walk off. All right, let me phrase that. Fly off, and then he transforms in front of us, and then busts through a glass, and then we proceed to fight. In the remake, they add the intense factory up to 11. In this one, we get inside of the room with the body, go to grab the thing off the body, actually successfully grab it off the body. That's when the infector comes in, infects him, jerks him off, and then drops the body on top of you and goes, okay, have fun, bye, with the fucking condom fairy. Just have fun fucking, and then dips the fuck out. Like, seriously. And then this whole motherfucker transforms on top of me, scaring the shit out of me and Isaac. Okay? But I really liked that. That was fucking badass. I'm not gonna lie. It was fucking badass. And then we got Temple's death, which I personally like this one. A lot of people don't, not a big fan of Temple's death because they think it doesn't show the craziness of Dr. Mercer the way he originally died. In the original version when he died, you know, he's tied up to a chair and fucking Mercer, you know, we get to watch this helpless man helplessly get killed in front of us. And you know, we actually get to see Mercer be fucking like crazy, you know, just, oh, well, we're gonna do this because we can, you know, whatever. in the remake, I still think it shows his crazy sadisticness because of what he said. So, he's got a temple in this room. He fucking freezes him with the stasis, so he's stuck in slow-mo. He must have that double or triple node add-on for the stasis to be up to at least 25 seconds plus. Because the man's frozen for the rest of the scene. But as he's talking to Isaac, and Isaac's like, fuck you, man, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And, he looks at Temple, and I forgot exactly what he said to him. He's like, you are no further use to me. And then shoots him in the back of the head. So we get to slowly see it's like a moment from the Evil Within 2 when we get to see Stefano's fucking pictures. It's like that. We get to see this man slowly die. So think about that. We get to watch this man slowly die, which means this man is slowly dying in front of us in the most gratuitous way ever. The man got shot in the fucking head. I can only imagine what goes through your head when you're dying. Imagine dying in slow motion now. That's fucked up. And then just the fact that Mercer puts that thought in your head when he, gets done killing him, and as the man is falling down, slow motion, blood coming out of his goddamn head, looking cool as shit, Mercer just goes, dying in slow motion. Quite painful. That's sadistic. So I still feel like his sadisticness is still there in this scene. We don't need to sit there and watch him torture the guy to realize, this man might be sadistic. No, just from that line alone, the fact that he killed this guy in the slow-mo way and then says, oh yeah, no, it's quite painful. It's fucking sick, man. That's fucking sick. But Dr. Kane, of course, he's got the same death. I'm not gonna lie, he's got the same death. He's very same. Of course, let's go, smooth as marker. Fucking Daniel shoots him and then fucking drives off, leaving me with a dead body and pissed off emotions. And then, we're gonna get to some more of the bigger plot twist. Okay, so a lot of people are mixed about how the plot twist was taken. Now, I'm going to explain why I think this was a great way to do the plot twist. Alright, so this game's been out since 2008, right? 2008. Alright, it's now 2023. Alright, it's been over a decade since this game came out. It's like The Signs. The Sixth Sense. We know the twist already. Anybody in the game industry who is a big fan of survival horror knows the twist. Anyone who's old enough to buy the game, that is. Let me rephrase that. Anyone who is legally old enough to buy a rated M game should know the twist by now. So they had to keep that in mind when doing this big reveal. Do we copy it the way it was in the original one, or do we do something new? They decided to do something slightly new. Because, they also got to think, okay, we're catering to our older fans of the original franchise who still very much loves us and supporting us all the fucking way. But we also got to bring in these new guys in who might not know the full story or had never played the original one. So they still kept the idea that we think Nicole's alive. And they actually hammer that shit down. Because we actually see her a lot more in the remake than we did in the original. In the original one, I think we saw her in chapter 9. No, 7 and 11. After that, we don't see her, ever. Except in audio logs and, text logs and shit like that. But mainly, we don't get to do a lot of interactions with her. In the remake, we have a lot of interactions with her. We actually have chemistry between Isaac and her. We get to know further about their relationship. And like I said, that's when we find out about, why she's there at the Ishimura's, because Isaac blamed her for the death of her mother, so he pushed her to go to the fucking Ishimura so he gets space from her. Which is fucked up. But the fact is, we spend more time with Nicole. But we as, especially me, okay, let me phrase that, me playing this, knowing the big twist, I was impressed with the fact that they really ran with the fact that if you didn't know she was dead, You wouldn't know she was dead. Because of the fact that one of the big dead giveaways, it's just what she said. There's nothing mysterious, like she doesn't have the glowing eyes, and she's not talking extremely fucking creepy. But her dialogue is, how do I describe it? It's not boring or basic, but you gotta think about it in this aspect. Nicole, of course, was dead before Isaac showed up. So the marker used Nicole's imagery to convince, Isaac to do what he had to do. The marker can make you hallucinate, but there's something I know, especially in the Dead Space Aftermath and one of the comics I read. The marker can make you think what it wants you to think. It makes you see what it wants you to see. But it cannot emulate human emotions. If you pay attention to the way Nicole says things, the way she does things, she has no fluctuation of tone. She has no urgency, except when it's just like, hey, we're on a time clock here. We got to get this marker down. That's the only time you hear urgency in her voice. Everything's monotone, and it's just the things Isaac wants to hear. Isaac, I love you. Isaac, you know I'll always forgive you. Isaac, trust me. But there's no actual feelings behind it. And unless you're a keen-eyed detective and actually, maybe understand human emotions and how people are supposed to come off as, that's a clever way of writing a fucking dead person. That really is. Compared to, but let's pretend like she's not really dead. We're going to pretend she's not really dead, and we're going to play this all off, but we're going to make it sound like she's a very boring individual. And I think that's where a lot of people are having issues with it, is because of the fact that she doesn't sound like a normal human being. Like, she sounds like a human being, don't get me wrong. She sounds like she's having a casual conversation, but there's no emotions or fluctuation in her voice. Which, again, you would think, okay, because we're on a spaceship, she's been in some fuck shit, I can understand that. Which, I like that. The fact that, the environment in the spaceship does change, how people feel. Again, like I said, with the whole people aren't as crazy as they were in the original game. So, unless you're paying attention, you don't know that she's dead. And also, unless you know the phrase, make us whole again, Isaac. Make us whole. That is like your key dead giveaway that she ain't normal. When you hear her say, make us whole. So, yeah, unless you're paying attention to that, a lot of people didn't catch on. But, again, a lot of people were playing this. We all know the big twist. So, it makes sense that they played it off this way. It makes sense that her delivery for some of her lines and shit weren't, in fluctuation with, like, dramaticness of, oh, my God, urgency, let's go, hurry, 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 It's, Isaac, you got this. I trust you. Like, that's very sinister. That's very sinister. And that's because that's what the marker can do. The marker doesn't know what fucking human emotions are. That's the thing about the marker. It's alien, but to the point that it doesn't understand other alien life forms. All it understands is, I need a crate. And again, I'll get to an overarching, full description of the full story at the end. I think it would be best at the end to explain, like, the full origins or the best of the information I know. But, once we get that reveal, originally it was Daniel's out there telling us, yeah, no, she faked being a fucking cunt. She was, and, being a fucking bitch. Because I noticed that in the original game, Daniels was a fucking bitch. Cold. Straight to it. Yeah, very evil, maniacal, especially at the end when she comes out and says, oh, yeah, I'm here because they actually sent me to stop the marker, and we're going to destroy it. So, fuck you, Isaac. I'm sure you got this. Good luck on your ship. Bye. And it's just like, no, bitch, get your ass back here, man. Get your ass back here. You fucking gotta eat that shit, bro. You gotta eat that shit. And that bitch does. Oh, my God, she does. Let me explain her death sequence. So, oh, wait, hang on, I forgot. Let me tell about one more death. So, after, Nicole, we find out Nicole's really dead. We go through the whole video. We see Nicole, put air in her bloodstream and she fucking dies. Originally, that gets done, we see Isaac lean in, you know, like, oh no. And then we look up and Nicole's not there and Daniels is standing there. And this one, the remake, she's holding a gun to somebody saying Nicole ain't real, even though she's holding Nicole. So it's like, how do you know where this hallucination's at? I don't know, but okay. And while she's saying Nicole's not real, you watch the message, the facade fades away. It's a motherfucking Cross. And I know a lot of y'all thinking, who the fuck is Cross? I know exactly what a lot of y'all thinking. How the fuck did you forget about Cross? So Cross in the remake is actually a very important character. She is in the hydroponic wing. She helps out with the Leviathan fight and stuff. And now in the original one, she sees, I want to say it's her husband or her brother or something like that. And she disappears after the Leviathan fight, assuming that she died, you know, from one of the necromorphs or something. But in this one, she disappears just to come back because the marker made you believe that Cross was Nicole, and to Cross, it made her believe she was talking to her husband or her boyfriend or, you know, brother or whatever the fuck it was, Jam. I can't remember. And then, of course, that's kind of revealing. And that took me aback a little bit. I was just like, oh, Cross, hi. That's actually a good little plot twist. But they had that character just to, you know, for Daniels to kill her and then try to walk off. And we meet Daniels at the ship. And originally, you know, the hive mind's tentacle comes up, fucking bitch slaps her ass off the fucking ship, and then proceeds to fucking bitch slap her to the ground and then kill her ass. In this one, it bitch slaps her off the fucking ship. She falls in front of us. And this bitch has got the audacity, the goals, that old saying, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. Fucker's got the balls, Isaac, help! After this bitch just tried to kill me. She's gonna leave me on this fucking planet to die. She's going, Isaac, please. I'm sorry. No, the fuck you ain't. You sorry piece of bitch. That's all you are. Just a sorry little bitch. Oh yeah, and another death I forgot to mention, by the way, you know, after Daniel's death, you know, that's the only difference is Mercer's death. I'm about to call him Matthias for a second. Mercer's death. In the original version of Mercer's death, we're on a video call where he kind of embraces and opens up his arms to the necromancers or the necromorphs, and it's just like, take me now, please, and then he fucking gets killed, and we open the door, and there the fuck he is. And this one, I don't know if they're trying to set up for, like, another boss or something, or what the hell exactly they were doing. I will say I was a little disappointed, but not disappointed at the same time, because I feel like it's just. I'm disappointed because I didn't get to kill him. Okay, let me put it that way. I didn't get to kill him, thus is why it disappointed me. But I did like the fact that he runs up to the marker, right, and he's just like, Marker, I love you. You're the greatest thing ever. And then the fucking tentacles comes out of nowhere and wraps around the marker and him, squishing him to the marker. As the tentacles dragging him through the ship, you just hear him scream, no, you lied to me. You lied. You promised me eternal life. I'm just like, nah, they didn't lie to you. You would get nothing and you will be happy with that, sir. You would get nothing. I love the fact that the last moment, that is when he realizes everything he worked for, everything he did on this ship, leading up from point A to point B, everything he did was a fucking lie. And I love it that he finally realizes that at the end, that everything he thought he was doing for himself, it was just the marker doing it for itself. And it fucking was just great to me. Just, you promised, you lied. I promised you nothing and you would like it. That's basically what it said. I'll promise you nothing and you will like it. And then, you know, besides, you know, all those changes of death, of course, there's some dialogues that got changed that I can't nitpick through because of the fact that I haven't sat down and watched a full gameplay of the 2008 game in a good minute, so I can't do a scene by scene comparison of when, you know, certain dialogue changes and when certain things change and shit. But I will say the overarching narrative of some of the missions did change. But one thing that didn't change was the fucking guns. Now, before we wrap, up on all this bullshit and get to, the fucking basic synopsis and premise of the game franchise and why it's overarchingly, fuck, I lost my train of thought on that. It's basically a good fucking horror game is all I'm trying to say. I had a fancy fucking sentence in my head, and as soon as I tried to say it, I confused it with another fancy fucking sentence I had in my head, and then just both sentences broke. Both sentences went, no, not today. But the guns stay the same. The weapons have basically stayed the same. That's one of the greatest things about Dead Space that I truly fucking love. Like I said, in Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill, you don't really get a weapon. You really don't get a weapon. That's pure fucking survival horror right there. Pure horror. That's just pure horror. But fucking Resident Evil, of course you got all your various types of guns and shit. And Dead Space is the same, but the way Dead Space does his guns is quite unique. So you got like your plasma cutter, your pulse rifle, your ripper, your flamethrower, and all that shit. And the thing is, each of these weapons are actually used by the miners and shit to harvest ores and rocks and particles and shit. There actually has a function outside of just killing monsters. So they're not just random weapons that you just craft up out of nowhere. They're literally everyday objects used to kill these motherfuckers. We got the plasma cutter, which is the first gun in the game that you get. It's one of my favorite guns of the game. It's badass. I level that shit up like to a fucking T. Even added that add-on for the fucking heat to it. Wait, when you shoot them, they start burning up from the inside and they catch on fire. That shit's some badass shit. The pulse rifle, which is, but the plasma cutter, real quick, was used to cut parts of rocks, so you could just put in little stasis tubes and whatnot and, be on its merry way. And you got the pulse rifle, which is supposed to be another form of a rock shooter, which is supposed to help you break off even bigger chunks of rock. And, of course, it's like an automatic weapon, rapid fire. It's a very weak gun overall. Again, I use that one a lot more because of the fact that I just had a shit ton of ammo for it. That was one of the, ultimate ammo drops I kept getting was for the pulse rifle. Then the Ripper. The Ripper is a badass gun. It is literally a magical fucking saw that just saws through everything. It's a dangerous weapon. They actually don't use it all that much, on working with apparently, but it's supposed to help break the rest of those damn rocks up that the cutter or the pulse rifle couldn't do. And again, they even state that they don't use all that much because it's dangerous. But that one, hands down, is my favorite fucking gun to use throughout the whole game. It's like the chef's kiss, man. I'm not gonna lie, just chef fucking kiss. Fucking take that shit down to their legs, fucking chop their legs off, fucking body parts flying everywhere, blood, guts, fucking ran that shit down to their heads, make them eat that shit. It is like having a chainsaw in your hand, man. It's badass. It makes me feel like a badass. And then your flamethrower. Now I will say, I remember the flamethrower. I remember this bitch being completely fucking useless in the original game. I'm not gonna lie, completely useless. Couldn't do jack shit. But they changed that. They actually made it useful now. I used it a lot with the pregnant necromorphs. It really helped just obliterate them. The R1 trigger. Those were some nice add-ons with that they added to was some of the R1 triggers where they actually did bigger explosions and stuff. Now, I'm going to be honest, during my playthrough, I kind of forgot about the R1 triggers a lot. So I didn't use it as much as I should have, to be honest. That probably what fucked me up a lot. But I feel like I did pretty good overall, conserving my ammo. But the flamethrower, fucking golden, man. Then we got the contact beam, which is literally what it sounds like. It's literally a beam. Just a beam of fucking light, of fucking energy. And apparently it helps, again, cut more rocks and shit. And that thing's just a boss. Like, you fucking just obliterate just horrors right in front of you. Except for the guys in armor. It does nothing against the guys with armor except piss them off. Funny enough. The line gun. Another fabulous gun. That basically is great when there's like a cluster of them and you just shoot at their feet and knock a whole bunch of them down because there's like a fucking, well, as it says, a line gun. It's a line of fucking, just fucking waves, man. And then, of course, we got our Force gun, which I have to say, it's a badass gun. Like, that gun, like, I wasn't impressed by it too terribly much, but I'm impressed by what it can do. And let me explain. So with this gun, you shoot it at an enemy, and it, like, de-skins them. Like, I'm not talking about, like, that glitch in Dead Island I had that one time where I was seeing coding and shit. But it literally de-skins them. Like, you shoot them, and you just see a skeleton, but they're still coming at you. So you shoot them again, and the fucking, like, part of their bones are still coming at you. And you gotta do it again and again. And it's pretty badass, but it takes a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It takes a fucking lot. But, yeah, no, it's just, the guns are so badass, and I love that they, you know, kept the guns and the style of the gun. And the fact that they get their own cutscenes when you get them, pretty badass, my dudes. But to basically sum up what I've learned for people who are curious and interested about the whole story of Dead Space overall, this is the story I've gotten. So the Black Marker crashed down upon Earth hundreds of years ago, especially even before Dead Space time, even before our time. Apparently it crashed recently within our time, if we're being dead serious. I think it was like early, like mid-2000s, it crashed on Earth. But the Black Marker, of course, was alien tech that basically sends out a type of wave, kind of like a, fuck, what was that wave called? What did they call it? Like micro something wave, where basically it fucks with your head. It fucks with your head. It's very psychotic, like taking acid just about. It fucks with you. But you know, there was a doctor there who was researching it, and of course he died, who became the martyr for the whole unitology bullshit. But like I said, I want to say earlier when I explained all this shit, you know, I explained that they sent the marker, the red marker, to each 7. And the Black Marker, I can't remember exactly what they did to it, but somebody's got, I think it's somebody in Unitology has got the fucking Black Marker. And he's hiding it until the second game. But the whole point of the Black Marker is it's a tool for a bigger alien. So we have what is called the Brother Moons, which is literally an alien that's just a fucking planet. And what they do is they take the markers, they put them on a planet, let the planet become the necromorphs, and then it's absorbed into the marker, into the planet, thus creating another Brother Moon. Thus is why we have Dead Space, by the way. And I don't mean the game, I mean the title. Little theory. They make comments about how, especially in the movies and in the game, about how there's no other life forms out there. That there's no other aliens. Aliens, they're not saying they don't exist, they just haven't found them. So there's, you know, no life forms. And what the marker does, it sucks all the life form out of the vicinity area. Anything that's organic, whether it be plant-based, animal-based, human-based, it absorbed into the planet, thus creating a dead space. There's nothing alive out there, period, except these fucking pissed off Brother Moons. Now, the particular pissed off Brother Moon you deal with in Dead Space 3 wants you to help stop a situation. And again, this one's a little sketchy because, again, I don't really remember Dead Space 3 all that much. I didn't play it all that much. I'll say it again. But if I remember correctly, they did the marker thing on another planet, started with a T. Very cold planet, very icy planet. And this planet got wise and stopped the conversion happening by like slow-mowing or putting everything in stasis or something. But basically pausing the conversion. And they get Isaac to come back to unpause the conversion so the Brother Moon can be reborn. But that's the whole point of the marker, the whole point of the necromorphs, is the fact that they're there to be servient beings to the actual alien, which is the Brother Moons. And this is why, in some aspects, Dead Space is 10 times scarier than Resident Evil. So let me explain this. So like I said, the whole premise of Dead Space is Isaac Clarke trying to stop the Necromorphs from, taking over the world, and not taking over. Well, yeah, technically it's taking over the world because everyone keeps trying to bring this fucking marker back to Earth for some goddamn strange reason. Don't ask me why, but they're just like, this thing causes some severe issues. Let's bring this to Earth so we can look at it some more. Brilliant idea, unitologists. Brilliant idea. But Isaac, he's got to deal with all this bullshit, and of course we see this man go through so much turmoil, and at the end we're left with a fucking cliffhanger. Now, in Resident Evil 4, let's take that example, we have Leon's whole thing where he's got to go in there, he's got to stop the fucking Plagueis from spreading around, taking over the world, and he's got to save the president's daughter. Well, Isaac's got to try to save his girlfriend, which we're very, very late for that. Very late. I'm sorry, Isaac. We didn't make it in time. But the difference is, with the La Plagas, they're brother moons to a degree. It's Lord Sadler. Yeah, we got Lord Sadler. Then we got Salazar. Then we got fucking Krauser. Basically, we got a bunch of mini bosses before the big boss, and before the big boss, which is Sadler. And each of these guys are very well aware of the La Plagas. They're very well aware that they're infected by the La Plagas. I mean, basically, Kaiser with his fucking mutation, Sadler, what's that Napoleon dude's name? Salazar, there we go. Sorry, I don't know why his name's escaped me for a moment. But Salazar, everyone's fully aware of this shit. And as you know, Leon tries to talk to them throughout this whole game franchise. Hey, give me about the girl, we won't have any issues. Nah, bro, we ain't gonna do that. And then, of course, we have a fight. The reason why I bring this up is the fact that you could try to reason with Sadler, and you could try to reason with like Wesker or with anybody in the Resident Evil franchise. You could try to reason with them. You can't reason like with a Titan or anything. Like, you can't reason with Nemesis. You can't do that because Nemesis, like a marker, works for a higher cause. But you can't do that with a Necromorph. You can't do that with the marker. You can't even do that to the Brother Moon. You can't just float up to the Brother Moon and be like, yo, bro, leave my planet alone, homie. Let's talk about this. He ain't gonna sit there and have a conversation with you and tell you his full detailed plan on how he's gonna take over the world. He don't care. You can't bargain with the marker or the Necromorphs or the Brother Moons. You can't bargain, you can't plead, you can't do anything but die. And that makes it fucking terrifying. That's the whole point of the Necromorphs. Yeah, you have certain ones that have jobs, such as the Infectors, who come in and infect the shit. If the marker doesn't do it already, because the marker's sending out those fucking waves, the fucking mess with your biometric coding and shit or whatever the fuck, how the fuck it fucking does this shit. Basically gets inside your body, mutates your ass, Necromorphs, boom. That's how they create it. The point is, you can't bargain with this shit. And the fact that you can't go to one of these infectors and go, yo, bro, before you infect that body and fuck me up, can we talk about this real quick? You can't do that. No, they just fucking do. That's the whole point of a slasher. Their whole purpose of being is just to kill. That's what all these Necromorphs are done. Yeah, again, they all have little side jobs, but their main purpose is just to kill. You can't talk to them, you can't reason to them, you can't bargain with them, and you can't plead with them. They just kill. And you could be like, okay, well, what if we try to understand the marker? Well, understanding the marker doesn't help either. It just tells you what you already know. Immortal life. You do have immortal life. It did not lie about that, by the way. You will live forever as a Brother Moon. As a Necromorph inside the Brother Moon. You will forever be alive. It did not lie about that. You just gotta read between the lines. But again, even if you read all that and you read between the lines and you knew what the fuck was coming, you can't just float up to the Brother Moon and be like, yo, bro, don't do this shit. That's what makes this game scary. That's what made Dead Space, to me, fucking terrifying. I'm isolated. I'm alone. I'm against creatures I cannot reason or bargain with. All they know is kill, kill, kill. And I'm their prime fucking target. Even when trying to help the marker out, they still just want to kill, kill, kill. Because that's just what they do. The marker, you can't do anything. You can't even just blow it up. You can't get rid of it. And things like indestructible. The only reason it even got somewhat destroyed was we had to drop an entire ship on the planet. And that tells you anything about how indestructible this marker is, because the fact that not only did we drop a fucking ship on the planet to destroy this marker, but stupid people from the O'Brien came back before the planet completely exploded and took a chunk of the marker. Ba-da-da-da, stupidityness saved the day for horror yet again. But it made everything scary, though. That's the point. That's the point of Dead Space. You know, don't get me wrong, Resident Evil, especially the original one, had its scary moments, especially with the infected zombies running around, the redhead ones. I think that's what they were called. The Crimson Heads. That's it. The Crimson Heads. Yeah, they had all that shit. Scary, spooky. Ooh. But I could go outside and breathe. I could go to an inventory room and breathe. Hell, I did that all through the fucking remakes. The amount of times I was just standing in the doorway of the safe room, flipping Nemesis off as he's walking by, or Mr. Eggs is, oh, what the fuck are you gonna do, buddy? Yeah, you ain't gonna do shit. You can't come into this room. I even did that in Resident Evil 8. I did that all the fucking time. I didn't do it in Dead Space, though, because you can't pause Dead Space. Like, you could pause it. You have a pause feature. Don't get me wrong. You have a pause feature. But you bring up that inventory, nope, doesn't pause. You go to buy something, doesn't pause. You go into your so-called safe room, yeah, it ain't safe, motherfucker. I walked into that room once, there was a necromancer standing there just waiting for my ass to walk into that door. I was like, nowhere is safe in this goddamn place. And that's the point. You're not supposed to feel safe. You're supposed to be on edge at all times. And this is where the fucking audio shit comes in at. So, of course, you know about the audio logs and the holograms that tell more of the story about how Nicole was searching, about the marker and trying to figure it out, fucking Mercer's being fucking crazy, and Dr. Kane's being blamed for the captain's death, so he's on the run. We got the Hunter's origin and all this shit. We got all these shenanigans, but the greatest audio you will hear is the fucking whispering. The goddamn whispering. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and say that whispering did not scare the shit out of me on occasion, because you will be walking and all you will hear is Isaac's footsteps, the fucking clunk, 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 tring, tring, from when I'm doing the whole, I follow my past scenario, because I don't know how, I have to either constantly look at a map or know exactly where I'm going in this damn ship. But the point is, don't, tring, tring, you all caught up now. You go to do it, you open the door, opens the door, dead silent the entire time. You just hear these weird sound effects. And you get to one room. Next thing you know, the whisperings pick up. Just telling you weird shit. Make us whole again. Oh, my bathroom's out of order. Oh, the damn clogger. It's just stupid shit like that. You would hear this shit, and it would come off out of fucking nowhere, off the fucking wall, just some crazy ass shit. And it is terrifying. It's one of my favorite aspects of Dead Space, is that the dead silence, even in the dead silence, is not dead silence. There's still fucking whisperings. And hell, the music cues. Like, there are rooms you can walk into that have random music cues that just want to scare the shit out of you. And there's one room I walked into, and like the violins start picking up and shit. I was just like, oh hell no, it's all backed out of there, and it got quiet. Walk back in there. Violins again picked up. I was like, oh hell no. Fucking ran across that room like a bitch. Got to the elevator, just never again. But that adds to the atmosphere of the game, though. The game is very well in atmosphere. Like I say, you feel isolated and alone. You feel terrified. You don't trust anything in that goddamn ship. You don't. You don't trust that vent behind you. You don't trust that vent in front of you. You don't trust the floor. You don't trust the person you're talking to. You trust no one and nothing. And that's what makes a great horror game, a disturbing horror game. The fact that, again, that one audio log where it's literally we hear the guy kill himself, and then as soon as it cuts, it's just dead silence in that room. That was the part that sent shivers down my spine. Was the dead silence after the audio log. And then you go into the next room and then fucking whispering starts again. And it doesn't happen all the time. It just happens on occasions as you're walking through the dead quietness, just walking, minding your own fucking business. Just the random silence, the random whispering. And I fucking love that shit. I really do. And this is why I say it's better, scarier, not better. Let me rephrase that. Not better. They on the equal playing field. But for scariness, this Dead Space remake, hands down, has got to be one of the scariest games I have played in a long, long time. Long time. And the 2008 one was still one of the scariest games I ever played. And this remake just holds a candle to it and then some. Like, if I could make love to a dev team, them and the guys who did Resident Evil 2, y'all two, us together, great fucking orgy. I feel like us having a great time. I will show y'all some tricks y'all didn't even know people knew. But yeah, I do believe hands down this has been a great remake. The comparison is top notch. It's same but different. They just changed a few things around, added some more characters, fleshed everything out. Fucking, added more detail from some of the games and the comic books and stuff. So if you didn't know about some of the movies or something in the book or something, they added into the game to definitely help form and shape this world. And I'm really hoping that Dead Space 2 does get remade. I'm really hoping for that, and I would love to see a continuation. I honestly would love to see where this game franchise goes. In the end, I'm glad it's back. No, I can't believe it's back. It's been a long time, and I'm glad I got to play it and enjoy every aspect of it, and I cannot wait to actually play it again later on this year for my stream in October. I'll be doing an entire run of me just using the plasma gun, the plasma cutter. Got told that should be fun. But I also can't wait for the Resident Evil 4 remake, so then I could do a nice comparison between those two games. That would be nice. That would be fucking nice to do a comparison between those two games, a Resident Evil 4 remake to Dead Space remake, and see which one's actually scarier. Because I got told with the Resident Evil 4 remake, they're actually bringing back the horror. They're bringing back some of the horror elements that got taken away for a lot of the action-based shit. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. But overall, I have to say, like I said, Dead Space, 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's a great, scary, horror, gory, bloodfest of a game. It still brings back some happy memories. And I'm going to be honest, some unpleasant happy memories. Mainly it's because I played it with my ex-fiance, and, well, the less to say about him, the better I feel. But the point is, Dead Space, I'm hoping for the greatest things, because I would love to see what this franchise goes in the future. Definitely would love to see if they expand more on this, if they're going to do a complete, rehaul of 2 like they did with 1. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with it. I can't wait to make some better memories and some happier memories. Granted, though, some of the happier memories I do have of this game is when I was playing it roughly in 2013 or 14. I think it was 2014. I was playing at my mom's house on her PS3. And I died laughing. I just fucking died laughing because my sister, and of course, this is before the optional. Again, guys, this is also why the optional thing's a good thing to have. Say you're a parent with a child that likes to walk into your room. You might want to have that just in case. Because my sister walked into the room while I'm dismembering something, and I've never thrown a controller so fucking fast. Like I did, I fucking paused that, fucking flipped that shit, landed on the counter. I fucking football tackled my sister. I'm making this seem more dramatic than what it really was. Cause she was a toddler, okay? She was a toddler. She was about, goddamn, maybe 5, anywhere between 4 and 6 years old. Fucking comes walking in. Manny, what you doing? And I'm literally, just about to fucking dismember something and see her fucking pause that, flip the controller down, fucking tackled her out the room, and just, nothing, baby, just playing a horror game. can I watch? No, no, baby, you cannot watch this. Why not? 'Cause mommy will kill me. Mother will kill me. And I don't think you want to go to my funeral. No, I love you too much. Okay, then. Comes back. Or, not her, but my mom comes back. I'm playing the game. I'm back where I was at. My mom comes in. Why'd you tell Leanna she can't play, she can't watch you play? Mom, I'm playing Dead Space. So? Unpause the game, let her just see one moment. Ooh, okay, yeah, I get it, okay. Yeah, she can't watch that, no. And she fucking walked off. Like, later my mom just went, ew. Like that fucking trailer. A full circle, Dead Space 2. You did it. Full fucking circle. Oh, God. But, guys, I'm looking at the time. I think I've done rambled enough about how amazing this fucking game is, how it compares to the original one, and how this remake is just a fucking godsend, and I love it. I love it so much. I actually bought myself a hard copy, a hard disc copy. I didn't buy it digitally like I did the core. Granted, though, I love the core. And if I could have bought that in a hard copy, I would have, but the hard copy didn't come out till like months after the game was already out. And I'm like, I can't wait. I want to play it now. Dead Space, though, I was lucky. I got me a hard copy of it. Fucking, once I get done with it, I'm putting this bitch up. Probably next to my other Dead Space, because I do have my Dead Space 1 and 2 games. Hang on a second, real quick, before we log off for the day. For those of y'all visually watching anyway, y'all can see this. For those of y'all listening to this audibly, y'all can't see this. I'll do my best to describe it to you. Alright, I'm getting up from my chair now, and I'm kind of tangled. Alright, I'm now standing. I'm kidding, guys. Alright, here it is. Oh, hang on, I gotta move Johnny Silverhand over. Hey. Okay. Johnny, don't fall. Okay. But yes, I have both the original Dead Space 1 and 2. I got the Greatest Hit Collection, and then limited edition Dead Space Extraction DLC for the 2. So, funny enough, looking at these, I bought these from my local game store back in the day. $10 for the first one. $8.95 for the second one. I bought both these games for $20 on the PS3 back in the day. But 100%, always loved this game franchise. I loved everything about the original game, but I love everything about this remake. And I say 10 out of 10 yet again, guys. Definitely would recommend this game. But I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this video on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to at, or wherever you're listening to, please give this video a like, subscribe, and follow, because you never know what fuck's just going to happen. Trust me, I never know. I never know what I'm going to talk about. I have a list of horror movies, games, comics, but there's always new shit to come. Sorry, I spent 2 weeks mainly on Dead Space, but I really had a lot of information to go through, and I want to do a proper comparison between the two and about what I've noticed and shit. But next week shouldn't be as long, and I know it went over by about 30 minutes or so, but again, guys, I really just wanted to, really express myself and my love for Dead Space, because I really love Dead Space. I'll be doing the same shit when Resident Evil 4 Remake comes out. Don't get me wrong, I'll probably spend about 5 hours on that shit alone. I love Resident Evil 4. But Dead Space is still one of my favorite horror games till this date. So, yeah, like I said, guys, go ahead, give me a follow, give me a like, because you never know what fuck shit is going to happen here. You never know what I'm going to talk about. Now, I can't give you a heads up for next week. Next week, we will be talking about an interesting little horror movie I recently just watched about a week or so back. Skinamarink. I actually want to talk about Skinamarink. I, at first, was debating whether or not to talk about Skinamarink, because, it's very artsy and it's very hard to describe this movie. But the more I start thinking about it, the more I start really thinking, I really could do something with this. I could do something, you know, really get this movie out there, because there's a lot of people that are 50-50 split on this movie. You either really like it or you really don't. And I'm actually in a weird category of in the middle. I like it, but I don't. I like it because the premise, the story, and everything about it is really, really cool. But I don't like it because it's not as scary as I thought it would be. It's very disturbing, though. But, you know, for me, when it comes to leveltivity of scares and shit, you know, I got like my, you know, we're gonna start at the bottom. You know, bottom being good, top being bad scenario. We're gonna do it this way, okay? So you got, you know, Goofy. Yeah, that's your comedy horrors, your black horrors and all that shit. You know, like Krampus, shit like that. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Yeah, that shit right there, Goofy. You got, alright, which is like, you know, alright premise. Alright, not that good, not that bad, just alright. Yeah, then you got, you know, Scary. It's, oh, you got me there. You got me there. Yeah, some good scares. Some good fucking scares. Fucking Scary, which is, you know, hands down, like, that's some fucking terrifying shit. I can't even praise that. It's not fucking scary. It's fucking terrifying. Fucking terrifying. Then it's Gorehound, where, you know, basically it's nothing but gore and shit. Then we have Disturbing, which is, that's scary, but that's really disturbing. You're getting up there in my not okay category, which is traumatizing. There's only been 3 movies, or let me phrase it, 2 movies and a TV show that have ever traumatized me. And that's saying a lot. Almost 30 years of existence, 30 years of living, almost 30 years come November. I have seen a lot of horror movies. I've seen a lot of horror TV shows, a lot of horror comic books, I've read a lot of horror books. Stephen King was like my fucking idol growing up. But fuck, I lost my train of thought there. Found my train of thought. Choo-choo, motherfucker. But, you know, I've seen a lot of shit. I've done a lot of shit. I'm not usually terrified. I fucking love roller coasters and shit. But there's been 3 movies that traumatized me. And when you hit that traumatizing level for me, that means you've done your job too fucking well. I'm not just walking out of there just scared shitless about the creature in the shadow. No, I'm traumatized to the point that I'm going to talk about this movie because of how traumatizing it is. Now, one of these movies, I can't remember the name of it. It was a indie film from the UK. The whole premise is a fucked up movie, by the way. By the way, guys, don't go looking some of this shit up, okay? Now I'm not going to say like Suburbia or this Suburbia film. I think y'all know what movie I'm talking about, you know, or Human Centipede. I'm going to be honest, guys. That shit doesn't traumatize me. That shit's disturbing, and that's gore shit. That's my gorehound. That's the gorehound in me. That's like Saw, you know, torture porn, shit like that. I can deal with that. I actually get chuckles and a good time out of watching gore fest movies. I'm one of those weird fucking little psychos that enjoy watching the torture porn for what it is. The torture. Like, I'm not gonna be one of those prudes that are gonna sit there and go, I watch Saw because of the intricate details and schematic planning Jigsaw does. I think it's very riveting on how he plays everybody. No, I'm gonna sit there and tell you the truth. I watch Saw for the fucking traps, okay? That's the whole reason I watched Saw 2 through where the fuck we're at now, okay? It's for the fucking traps. Except that new Jigsaw one. I didn't watch that one because of the fucking traps. I watched that because Chris Rock, man. Fucking Chris Rock. But with these movies, though, they weren't anything like this. They hit me in a different level. And for me, when it comes to traumatizing shit, it has to deal with children. Mainly a lot of the traumatizing shit I have to deal with children. And I don't mean like a 12, 13-year-old. I'm not talking about like that scene in Halloween 2018 where Michael comes up behind that kid and fucking snaps his neck. Like, no. Granted, though, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, Michael, I can't believe you fucking killed a kid. Holy shit. But, you know, I wasn't traumatized by that shit. No, it's when it has to deal with children. Like in Skinamarink, you deal with children. And it almost crossed that line of stepping over the toe of that line of from disturbing to fucking traumatizing, but they held that line so fucking well. I have to give them praise for that. That they gave me the disturbing aspect, but they didn't take it that far to traumatize me. But the 3 particular movies, like I said, the first one was a little indie film. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about a 10, 11-year-old girl who's basically, I'm just gonna say it bluntly, trafficked around. She's not into human trafficking, but it's like her mother's a drunk, her dad's like stepdad or something is another fucking drunk, and he sexually assaults her, and then she runs away and goes stays with somebody else, and that guy sexually assaults her, and then somebody else like this whole poor girl gets sexually assaulted throughout this entire fucking movie, and she's a kid. She's a fucking kid, and some of the sex scenes, they didn't do like full sex scenes, but some of the moments where, the older men are coming on to her, it's fucking creepy, and it's disturbing, and it bothers the hell out of me. It bothers the fuck out of me. But the scene that, like, traumatized me was when she finally was able to call for help, and she is so fucked up by everything that happened to her life, she doesn't know how to ask for help. So this poor girl is standing there alone in a phone booth, crying to a woman that's just like, how can I help you? Please tell me, how can I help you? That shit traumatized me because the fact that I felt that little girl. I felt that with my soul. I felt her pain. So yeah, that traumatized me. Just watching this poor little girl get fucking just assaulted for no goddamn reason. And again, a lot of people are like, well, what about that one movie you like where it's all told backwards? I'm like, that's a different type of assault. That's an assault on a grown woman. Still, it's fucked up and wrong, but not as traumatizing as it is to me to a child. Children shouldn't have to go through this shit. Children are innocent. The only reason they're fucking little assholes is because their parents make them little assholes. But children are innocent, especially young children. And that little girl just got dealt a terrible hand in life, and she got fucked up. And that's a fucked up movie, so don't watch that movie, guys. Don't watch it. It's a good movie, don't get me wrong, but it's fucked up. Don't watch it. Second movie has nothing to do with a little girl, but it had to do with what I saw. And it made me uncomfortable. And it's the movie called The Entity. And if you don't know, the premise of that movie is basically a woman who is sexually assaulted by a poltergeist. I'm not even fucking joking. She is literally raped and assaulted by a fucking poltergeist. This ain't a porno either. This is actually based on a true event that happened to a woman back in the 70s, I want to say. It was either 60s or 70s. She was being attacked and sexually assaulted by a fucking poltergeist. And the reason it disturbed me was because it's not just implied. We don't just get to see, her just get thrown up against the wall and shit. No, there's a scene that just got me. The husband who keeps coming in and out of her life shows up, and he's about to have sexual intercourse with her. So he's getting ready. She goes into the bedroom. He's like, brushing his teeth, combing his hair, trying to make him look good. He walks to the bedroom. She is butt naked on the bed being pinned down, and you could just see somebody sexually assaulting this woman, like sucking on her tit, fucking biting into her skin, fucking grabbing her arms and shit. It was literally watching someone get raped without having that person who is doing the raping be seen. And that fucking disturbs me. And as you can see, I have a problem with sexual assaults. But that's a personal issue, okay? That's just a personal issue with my personal past and my personal problems. I've seen some shit, I've dealt some shit, I'm not going to go into that shit, but the point is, there's a reason why those scenes bother the hell out of me. But the scene that straight up traumatized me, to the point that I had tears rolling down my face. Rolling down my face. I literally busted into my bedroom just asking my boyfriend, who's never seen me really scared, except for one other time, which is when I was playing Five Nights at Freddy's on the VR on the Oculus. Shit scared the shit out of me. I made him hold me. I made him hold me. But I busted in, and he could just see it on my face. And that said something. This ain't me being over dramatic on this one. You can read it on my face that I am uncomfortable, I am disturbed, I am not happy. And it was from the TV show called They. And I'm going to leave it at that because I do want to talk about They. I just got to get the balls and the galls enough to sit through episode 5 again, which is the scene that traumatized me. If you're curious, it has to do with a toddler being put in a bag and being killed. I'm not going to go into very much details about it, but watch They. It's on Amazon Prime, episode 5, near the end. It's, I want to say don't watch it like that first movie, but seriously, don't watch it, but watch it. Like, the show is good. I love the show. The show's fucking phenomenal. But that scene traumatized me. I'm like, that's going too far. Like, there were ways to do that shit without crossing that line for me, and they crossed that fucking line to me, and it traumatized me. So, but I digress on everything. The point is of this whole podcast, Dead Space is great. The remake's great. Totally should go play it. And we'll be talking about Skinamarink next week. And it's going to be a crazy, artsy, off-the-wall, different camera angles type of movie. Like, y'all see it when I get there. But that is a story for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care. Oh, and also one little side note. If y'all are curious about any of the Dead Space movies, they are on Amazon Prime for free. So go ahead and check those out. So until then, my friends, y'all take care.